Chapter 261. The 4 pieces of land provided by Tang Tianlong were cheaper the further it was from the capital city. Charlotte finally chose a piece of land that was about 70 kilometers away from the capital city. It was located at the foot of the mountain, next to a small town. The transportation was quite convenient. After work, employees could also go to the small town to shop, drink a cup of tea and so on. Of course, the main reason for choosing it was that it was relatively cheap. 150 mu of land only cost 50 million. There was another reason why Charlotte was interested in it. It was also because there was open space around it. If he wanted to expand in the future, it would be very convenient. It would not involve troublesome things such as demolition. As for the distance from the city, it was not something he needed to worry about. The products produced by the military factory were not ordinary goods that were transported to supermarkets and malls for sale. The military directly took them away from the warehouse. Under these conditions, why would he choose the expensive land near the city? When the two returned to the city, it was already afternoon. Tang Yuyan invited Charlotte to eat the famous Juanda roast duck. Then she took Charlotte to her home. Tang Yuyan lived alone. Her house was in a high-end community in the center of the city. It was 200 square meters and worth millions. With Tang Yuyan's income, she obviously could not afford this kind of house. But from her other identity, this house was a piece of cake. The Tang sect was the #1 family in Sichuan. It was a famous family hundreds of years ago. Who knew how much the Tang family had? Your place is not bad. After entering the door, Charlotte politely praised. He liked the fresh decoration style that Tang Yuyan chose. It was very simple, but very exquisite and stylish. You don't have a house in the capital, right? Tang Yuyan said. I heard that you are living in Long Bing's house? Yes, I am temporarily living in her house, Charlotte said. He walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window in the living room, overlooking the corner of the capital. I will give you a key, Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Why do you want to give me a key? Tang Yuyan said with a smile. You want to learn Tang sect Kung Fu, I want to learn your Wing Chun. I will give you the key. You can come at any time. You can also live here. It is also convenient for us to learn from each other. Isn't that good? Tang Yuyan's proposal was really good. It was conducive to learning between the two, but Charlotte still felt a little inconvenient. Oh, I know. You probably want to ask Long Bing for her permission? Charlotte was a little embarrassed and said, Do I need to ask her permission? You don't? Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. Are we filming? Give me the key, I'll come over when I have time. Tang key. Charlotte said, Come. Tang. Tang said, Tang Kuan. Yuyan said, Wing. Tang Kuan Tang. Sec. Tang Yuyan went into her room. Charlotte sat in the living room for 2 minutes. Then he moved the sofa away and made an open space. A few minutes later, Tang Yuyan walked out of her room. She was wearing a black sports bikini, and her breasts were pushed up against the skin-tight fabric. There was also a bulge between her thighs, and a faint indentation could be seen. Needless to say, her plump buttocks filled the sports shorts to the brim. The thin fabric was like a second layer of skin for her, extremely tempting. Tang Yuyan seemed to have avoided being exposed, so she deliberately wore a bra and panties. But it still couldn't stop her body from revealing something. Charlotte pretended to be calm and said with a smile, I moved your sofa away. I will put them back when I leave. It's a small matter. Don't worry about them. Tang Yuyan said with a smile. I'm ready. You can teach me Wing Chun first. Charlotte wanted her to teach Tang sect Kung Fu first. He didn't expect her to be so cunning. She actually asked him to teach her Wing Chun first. It seemed that Tang Yuyan had the same idea as him. If he didn't teach her the real Wing Chun, she probably wouldn't teach him the real Tang sect Kung Fu. Ancestral Kung Fu was not passed on to outsiders. This was a bad habit of China's martial artists. Charlotte and Tang Yuyan were no exception. However, Charlotte was more concerned about Liang Jingquan's trust. He didn't want to disappoint Liang Jingquan's trust in him and the kindness of passing on his skills. Tang Yuyan was simply concerned about the fact that Tang's sect Kung Fu was not easily passed on to outsiders. It seems that I have to gain her trust first. I will teach her some basic things first. Then I will see what she does. Charlotte made up his mind. Then he walked to Tang Yuyan and said, I will teach you the technique first. Follow me. First learn the most famous asking the way in Wing Chun, Charlotte said while gesturing. Sometimes he stopped to correct Tang Yuyan's movements. Abdomen. Well, you didn't do it properly. Charlotte couldn't help but reach out and press Tang Yuyan's lower abdomen. Tang Yuyan's lower abdomen was soft and elastic. It also felt a little hard. Those few snow-white and crystal abdominal muscles were not for fun. They were all real guys. Tang Yuyan was a little embarrassed and nervous. However, Charlotte didn't do anything else. He just pressed her lower abdomen and moved away. He didn't look like he was taking advantage of her. He looked very serious and formal. After teaching the asking the way, Charlotte taught her to spread her hands. Charlotte went around to Tang Yuyan's back and leaned his foot against Tang Yuyan's leg. He said, Wing Chun pays attention to the landing of the leg and the three tips in one. That is, the tip of the nose, the tip of the hand, and the tip of the foot must always be in the same vertical line, so that the attack and defense can be in one. Your feet are too far apart. It will affect your movement speed. Close a little. Tang Yuyan clenched her fists and closed her legs. Her buttocks trembled and rippled. Charlotte quickly looked away. She dressed like this to practice Kung Fu. It was tempting to commit a crime. But for the sake of Tang's sect Kung Fu, he must endure it in an hour. Charlotte taught from the asking the way to the killing hand. He also demonstrated it by chopping Tang Yuyan's snow-white neck with his palm. Of course, it was just an action. He didn't use any force. However, when his palm came into contact with her tender skin, it was as if his palm had been electrocuted. He did not dare to stay for even a moment longer and quickly moved away. Tang Yuyan and Charlotte felt the same. They were embarrassed and nervous. But it couldn't be avoided. After teaching more than 10 Wing Chun moves, Charlotte spent another half an hour practicing with Tang Yuyan. The two of them, one attacking and one defending, used the Wing Chun moves. Worthy of being a woman with a foundation in Kung Fu, Tang Yuyan's speed of learning Wing Chun was very fast, second only to Charlotte's speed of learning Wing Chun. This made Charlotte feel very surprised. But thinking that she was a person who had been practicing Kung Fu since childhood, he was relieved. I have taught you all the moves of Wing Chun. After you are proficient, I will teach you the trick of exerting force. Charlotte wiped the sweat on his forehead and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't have to touch her body anymore. Tang Yuyan said, I'll need about half a month to digest what you've taught me. After that, I'll come to you to ask you about the secret of exerting force in Wing Chun Kung Fu. You can't hide it then. Charlotte smiled, I won't. If it weren't for the consideration that you have just learned Wing Chun, I can teach you the trick of exerting force now. I believe you. Let's wait until I am familiar with it. I will teach you the Tang sect's Qigong now. Tang Yuyan moved her legs. Xia Lei's left eye had already entered the depth see-through mode. In his left eye's vision, Tang Yuyan had already turned into a skeleton covered in flesh and blood. Her skeleton, her muscles, and her blood vessels were all clearly visible to his left eye, and he could see everything with a single glance. In the beginning, he learned the mystery of Wing Chun in this way. Now he is ready to use this method to learn the mystery of Tang sect's Qigong. Qigong, from the perspective of physics, is actually a skill to get rid of gravity. The greater the force you exert on the earth, the greater the rebound force. The process of exerting force and using the rebound force is the process of performing Qigong. According to the calculation of 9.8 Newton, you can get how much force you need to get rid of gravity. The greater the force you exert on the earth, the higher the efficiency of using the rebound force of the earth, and the higher you can jump. You watch, I will show you. As soon as the voice fell, Tang Yuyan suddenly bent her legs and her body suddenly stepped on the ground. Her body suddenly broke free from the ground and jumped up to the ceiling. This standing jump was only a little bit away from the top of her head, touching the ceiling lightly. With such an exaggerated jumping ability, if she went to the track and field championship to participate in the high jump, she would definitely be the world champion. Just this one jump, Charlotte asked himself if he could do it. However, he did not miss the entire process of Tang Yuyan's preparation to jump. What he saw was not only as simple as Tang Yuyan jumping. He saw the inside of her body, especially her legs, the angle of her legs, the movement of her muscles, the speed of her blood flow. It is also this time, with the depth of vision, Charlotte peeped into the secret of Tang Sek's Qigong. Can you show me again? Charlotte needed to see again. One peep was not enough. No problem. Tang Yuyan bent her legs again, took a deep breath, and suddenly lifted off the ground. The pair of big breasts were originally still, but when they suddenly broke free from the restraints of the earth, they flew upwards. When the top of her head touched the ceiling, they returned to the effect of gravity and fell with her. Tang Yuyan's legs returned to the ground, but her breasts were still swaying. If her breasts were a bit smaller, would she jump even higher? This was an extremely boring question, but Charlotte's mind appeared for a while, a little naughty feeling. Do you want me to show you? Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte said, You take a break first. Tell me, how do you practice your Tang Sek's Qigong? The strength of the legs is very important. Any training that increases the strength of the legs can be used, such as jumping with a sandbag tied to it, jumping over obstacles, etc. Of course, it is also very important to master the earth's rebound. I will teach you next time. You practice first. Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte stood on the ground and used all his strength to jump a few times, but not once was successful. He was still as high as he could jump before, not even reaching half of Tang Yuyan's height. In fact, after mastering a part of the Tang Sek's Qigong, he could actually use it flexibly and jump even higher, but he did not want to let Tang Yuyan see this abnormal side of him. You are actually quite stupid. Tang Yuyan giggled. You make it sound easy. I just started learning your family's Qigong. Charlotte stopped jumping. He looked at Tang Yuyan and probingly said, Can you teach me your family's hidden weapons? Tang Yuyan looked at Charlotte with a smile. I knew you would have this kind of idea. I tell you, I can teach you Qigong, but as for hidden weapons, you have to be a member of our Tang family. Charlotte shrugged his shoulders. Isn't this clearly not a secret? It's fine, I don't want to learn, just show me, I want to broaden my horizons. That's no problem, wait a moment. Tang Yuyan turned around and entered her room. When she came out, she was already wearing a leather belt. That belt was filled with all kinds of hidden weapons, boomerangs, throwing knives, triangular darts, steel needles, 5-star darts, and so on. There were also some strange hidden weapons Charlotte had never seen before. He did not even know their names. Charlotte's left eye slightly twitched. He entered deep vision mode ahead of time. Tang Yuyan reached out her hand, took the larger boomerang, and suddenly raised her hand and threw it. The boomerang whistled through the air. When it was about to hit a wall, it suddenly moved aside, and flew towards her from the other side. But before the boomerang could fly back to her hand, she grabbed a steel needle. Her two hands linked together, the sound of the steel needle tearing through the air, unexpectedly hit the boomerang back. Pop! The boomerang hit the wall and fell to the ground. Charlotte's gaze moved to the boomerang. His jaw almost dropped to the ground. There was a row of steel needles on the boomerang, arranged in a vertical line, and every steel needle was the same distance apart. After being stunned for a while, Charlotte suddenly said, Does your family accept Godson? Tang Yuyan giggled. She did not say yes, nor did she say no. Charlotte looked at Tang Yuyan covetously. Can you show me again? Tang Yuyan. Chapter 262. On his first day in the capital, Charlotte did a lot of things. He signed the contract for the military factory, chose the land for the factory, and even learned 2 unique skills of the Tang sect, Qigong and hidden weapons. Although Tang Yuyan only taught him Qigong of the Tang sect, and only showed him the hidden weapons a few times, but those few times were no different from a formal teaching for him, who had the ability to see through things and had an abnormal learning ability. The harvest of this day was not small. Tang Yuyan asked Charlotte to stay at her house, but Charlotte still went to Long Bing's house. "Have you chosen the land?" When Charlotte entered the door, Long Bing, who was watching TV in the living room, asked lightly. Charlotte said, "Yes, the cheapest one." "She's very clingy, right?" Charlotte was slightly stunned and said awkwardly, "Are you talking about Tang Yuyan? Who else but her?" Charlotte sat on the sofa opposite Long Bing. "She asked me to teach her Wing Chun." "You taught her?" "Yes," Charlotte said, "but I didn't teach her for nothing. I asked her to teach me Tang sect's martial arts. I asked her to teach me in the past, but she didn't. This guy, she's actually teaching you. To think that I'm good friends with her. Forgetting friends when seeing love." It felt really weird coming out of Long Bing's mouth. Charlotte said awkwardly, "We are exchanging martial arts. I have what she wants to learn, and she has what I want to learn." Long Bing said, "You don't know her, and you don't know the Tang family. It's an ancient family with hundreds of years of history, and there are many antique. The Tang family has very strict family rules. You are not a member of the Tang family, so you can't learn the Tang family's real martial arts. She's probably just teaching you some superficial knowledge and trying to get your real skills." I can't tell her this." Tang Yuyan might have really planned to do so, but those who wanted to deceive Charlotte in this world had to first fulfill one condition, and that was to deceive his eyes first. In reality, even if Tang Yuyan didn't teach him the core techniques of the Tang sect, Charlotte could still learn them in the simplest way, and that was to have her demonstrate them. "Thank you, I won't tell her." Charlotte had his own plans in mind. "Let me tell you something." "What?" "We've confirmed that the killer is indeed from the Gu family. His name is Danny. He was an orphan adopted by Gu Dingshan. 16 years ago, he faked his death and was sent by Gu Dingshan to South Asia to receive training from an assassin organization. He has no identity and is equivalent to a shadow. He is quite dangerous." Charlotte said, "Since you've confirmed his identity, why didn't you arrest him?" Long Bing said, "Our people have started to take action, but there are no clues so far." "What about the Gu family? If we can't catch Danny, can't we catch the Gu family?" "You think the problem is too simple. How can we catch him without evidence? I'm telling you this to remind you to be careful. This is the capital, and Gu Dingshan's power here is greater than in Haizhu." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "Is that it? Wait for Danny to assassinate me again? Even if we catch Danny, I don't think you can get anything valuable from him. I know the Gu family's style of doing things, and they will deny any relationship with Danny." Long Bing was silent for a moment, then said, "Do you want Gu Dingshan to die?" "Of course I do." Charlotte said tentatively, "What do you mean?" Long Bing said, "Then use your brain. You are a smart person. Gu Dingshan can set a trap for you, so can't you set a trap for him? You don't have to defend, you can also take the initiative to attack." Xia Lei stared at her blankly, her voice echoing in his mind. "Think about it." Long Bing stood up from the sofa. "I'm going to change clothes." Charlotte was puzzled. "Why are you changing clothes? Are you going out?" Long Bing said, "I'm going to change clothes to learn Wing Chun from you. I think since you can teach Tang Yuyan, you can certainly teach me, right?" Charlotte nodded with a bitter smile. Indeed, in terms of relationship, he and Long Bing's friendship was far better than his friendship with Tang Yuyan. Since he could teach Tang Yuyan, why couldn't he teach Long Bing? A few minutes later, Long Bing came out of her bedroom, wearing a black sports bikini. Her chest seemed to be wrapped in 2 cannonballs, which could be fired and exploded at any time, overturning everything. Her long legs were white and elastic, and the part wrapped in sports shorts was even more plump and attractive. There was a slight bulge between her legs, and the indentation was clearly visible. The sense of mystery and sexiness were mixed together, and the magic seemed to be able to freeze people. Sports bikini again. Charlotte's whole body was not good. After almost 2 hours of tossing and turning, Charlotte finally returned to his room. Lying on the bed, he shook his head a few times to clear the long bing in his mind, the long bing with long legs, the long bing with indentation, the long bing with cleavage. Teaching Long Bing Wing Chun was somewhat different from teaching Tang Yuan Wing Chun. Long Bing was more familiar with him, and they had slept in the same bed for more than a month. She didn't care about skin contact with him, and he was more casual. Therefore, every time he learned a move, Long Bing would pester him to practice with her, and physical contact was inevitable. Long Bing was competitive. Every time she was at a disadvantage, she would always abandon Wing Chun and use the grappling she was best at. Sometimes she would suddenly hug Charlotte and fall to the ground, and then clamp his neck with her long legs. Sometimes she would sneak attack Charlotte from behind, fall on Charlotte's body, and then strangle Charlotte's neck, turning his head to her chest. Until now, Charlotte's that part still maintained an upright position, and it was uncomfortable to hold it. When it gradually quieted down, Charlotte's mind came back to the words Long Bing had said to him. Gu Dingshan can set up a trap to frame you, can't you set up a trap to frame him? You don't have to defend, you can also take the initiative to attack. Indeed, I have never taken the initiative to find trouble with the Gu family, let alone kill the people of the Gu family. Long Bing's words were obviously hinting to me to do something. However, I have never killed anyone. If I killed Gu Dingshan or Gu Kawu, the Gu family is such a big force, would they not retaliate? It is not difficult to kill Gu Dingshan or Gu Kawu, but once I do that, can I withstand the revenge of the Gu family? Charlotte's heart was tangled. Killing someone is not difficult, what is difficult is what you have to face after killing someone. What's more, he has never experienced such a thing. He has no experience. After lying down for a while, Charlotte got out of the bed and stood in the open space in front of the bed. In his mind, the scene of Tang Yuyan demonstrating her qigong appeared. Every image that appeared in his mind was transmitted by his left eye. Tang Yuyan's skeleton, Tang Yuyan's muscles, Tang Yuyan's blood vessels, all of these movements in that instant, everything was clearly displayed in his mind. Charlotte imitated Tang Yuyan's movements, bending his legs 45 degrees, adjusting the bones and muscles of his upper body to the same state as Tang Yuyan. Then, he took a deep breath and gathered the qi and internal strength into his legs. Up! With a loud shout, Charlotte suddenly jumped up. At that moment, he felt as if there was a spring under his feet, and with a whoosh, he was catapulted out. The ground in his line of sight instantly became far away, but his head did not hit the ceiling. After hovering for about 0.5 seconds, he crashed down. Long Bing's house was an old house, the ceiling was not high, only about 3 meters. Tang Yuyan's house was a new house in a high-class district, the ceiling was at least 4 meters high from the ground. Although Charlotte had secretly learned some of the mysteries of the Tang family's qigong, it was not comprehensive. He could not reach the level of Tang Yuyan. However, Tang Yuyan had been practicing since she was young, and she had been practicing for more than 20 years, while Charlotte was only learning it for the first day. From this point of view, it was not difficult to see how terrifying Charlotte's learning ability was. As long as he continued to practice, with more experience, he could grasp more mysteries. Not only could he completely learn the Tang family's qigong, he could even surpass it. What are you yelling for? Long Bing's voice came from the door. Perhaps because he was too excited, or perhaps because he was possessed, Charlotte did not make a sound. Instead, He grabbed a ham sausage from the bedside table that he was prepared to use as a midnight snack and threw it at the door. This was not a casual throw. All that appeared in his mind was the scene of Tang Yuyan displaying the Tang sect's unique hidden weapon skill, and his imitation was also very good. Not to say it was a perfect match, but there was definitely a 30% match. But the moment Charlotte threw the ham sausage, the door suddenly opened, and Long Bing appeared at the door. "You!" Before Long Bing could finish her words, a ham sausage suddenly pierced into her small mouth. Charlotte was stunned. Long Bing was also stunned. She looked very strange with a ham sausage in her mouth. The air in the room seemed to freeze. 10 seconds later, Long Bing slowly pulled the ham sausage out of her small mouth. She stared at Charlotte, the look in her eyes no longer like a normal human's, but more like the eyes of a feline. Charlotte coughed dryly. I'm really sorry, I didn't think you would come in without knocking. So you threw this thing at me? Long Bing raised the ham sausage. Charlotte smiled bitterly, an innocent expression on his face. He thought to himself that it was lucky it was a small size. If it was a large size it would be even worse. You bastard! Long Bing suddenly threw the ham sausage at Charlotte. Charlotte jumped to dodge, shouting, "Don't be impulsive, I really didn't do it on purpose." "I said you didn't do it on purpose." Long Bing took off her slippers and threw them at Charlotte, left foot and right foot. Charlotte avoided the left foot, but failed to avoid the right foot, and was hit in the face by the slipper. However, before he could open his eyes, Long Bing suddenly rushed over. She leaped up, spread her legs apart, and used a deadly scissor kick to clamp his neck. Then, with a twist of her waist, she threw him to the ground. His thighs were clamped around his neck, and the back of his head was tightly pressed against that place that made one's imagination run wild. His nostrils were also filled with an enchanting fragrance that made one's heart flutter. It wasn't easy for Xia Lei to walk out of that torturous feeling, and now he was back. "Big sister, I just threw a ham sausage at you. Do you have to be so angry? You threw a ham sausage at me, and you even stabbed it into my mouth. You are flirting with me, aren't you?" Charlotte, with such a fierce character, whoever married her in the future would have to use steel furniture, right? Chapter 263. Money made things easier. With the funds in place, Lima Manufacturing Company's military factory quickly entered the construction phase. The construction machines and workers from the construction company entered, leveled the ground, and built the walls. Charlotte purposely marked out 2 acres of land for the construction company to build a villa and a garden. This villa was for Anina to live in. Her identity was special, and she couldn't show herself easily. She also needed protection. She was given a piece of land in the factory, and the soldiers guarding the factory also protected her. The equipment for the military factory also entered the purchasing process, and most of the equipment was imported from Russia and Ukraine. Anina personally handled the purchasing of the equipment, and Charlotte acted as her translator, negotiating and trading with the equipment suppliers from Russia and Ukraine. Both of them lived in a temporary prefab house at the military factory construction site. While waiting for the equipment from Russia and Ukraine, they also worked together to modify the local machine tools. Both of them were excellent mechanics. Xia Lei was in charge of complex and precise parts, while Anina was in charge of assembly. With the two of them working together, several domestic machine tools were transformed into world-class machine tools. They were comparable to the most advanced machine tools in Europe and America. During this time, Charlotte didn't neglect his practice of the two Tang sect technique. Every morning and night, he spent at least an hour practicing qigong and hidden weapons. With his godlike learning ability, he naturally became stronger day by day, and he kept improving. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. The sun was about to set in the west, and the construction site of the military factory was immersed in the golden light. The forest behind the construction site also seemed to be plated with a layer of gold powder. The entire world was bright, and the scene was so beautiful that people didn't want to blink. On the hillside, Charlotte climbed on a rock with a sniper rifle in front of him. This was the sniper rifle that Tang Yuyan had asked him to modify. In the past half a month, he had taken the time to touch and modify the rifle. Without delaying the official business, he had finally finished modifying it for her. Now, Charlotte wanted to test the effect of this sniper rifle. Anina laid beside Charlotte, her but high up. From the back, the degree of fullness could make a man want to stick out his tongue. She looked forward along the barrel of the sniper rifle, but all she saw was a forest. She had no idea what Charlotte was aiming at. "Lucas, what do you want to fight?" She had not seen Charlotte move for a long time, and she was a little impatient. "A bird," said Charlotte. Anina's eyes widened. She looked around and said gloomily, "Where are the birds?" Charlotte suddenly removed the scope of the sniper rifle and handed it to Anina. Anina held the sniper rifle's scope and looked forward again, only to see two white figures entangled in the forest in front of her. One was a boy and the other was a girl. They were probably lovers from a nearby mountain village. She suddenly understood what the bird Charlotte was talking about. Her cheeks suddenly turned red, and she slapped Charlotte's butt. She said angrily, "Lucas, is this what you want me to see? You're so bad." Charlotte laughed. "Aren't you ashamed to say I'm bad?" Anina rolled her eyes at Charlotte coquettishly, and then continued to use the scope of the sniper rifle to peep at the young couple. "That couple is so romantic. I wish them the best. People from different cultures were really different. If this was the Middle East, if this couple was discovered, they would probably be stoned to death. If this was China, the couple's name would be spread all over the streets and become the hottest topic." The reason why Charlotte didn't shoot was also because of this couple. He didn't want a gunshot to ruin this romantic scene, and he didn't want to think about the scene of the young couple holding up their pants and running away in embarrassment. "Lucas, I want to shoot too." Anina put the scope in her hand on the rock and looked at Charlotte with a blush. Xiale said, "Let's wait for a while. Shooting now will scare the couple." "I don't want to shoot your sniper rifle." Anina gently bit her lip. Charlotte was stunned. "I don't have any other guns. What kind of gun do you want to shoot?" Anina squeezed into Charlotte's arms, stretched out her hand, and said with a smile, "You know what I want to shoot." Charlotte had never done that kind of thing in the wild. He was nervous and hesitant, but with the sound of the zipper, Anina only used 3 seconds to convince him. Her persuasion was always so powerful that he couldn't resist. Under the setting sun, there were 2 more white figures in the forest. The blue sky, the soft wind, and the wind carried the message of love. More than 10 minutes later, Charlotte lay on the rock again. Without the scope of the sniper rifle, he could see the situation in the opposite forest. The young couple had already slipped away, and the forest was quiet. In his left eye, he could even see the paper towels that the young couple had thrown on the ground. Charlotte raised the muzzle slightly. Although the paper towels could be a target, he estimated that the distance was only 800 meters. Such a distance couldn't test the maximum range of the sniper rifle. He aimed the muzzle at a tree in the distance. Charlotte had his own tool for measuring distance, which was his left eye. He only needed to set a reference and then take a look at it to estimate the approximate distance. The straight-line distance of the tree was about 3,000 meters. That's it. Charlotte aimed the muzzle at a dead branch on the tree trunk. Anina sat next to Charlotte, holding a makeup mirror to fix her lipstick. From time to time, she glanced at Charlotte's firm buttocks, and there was a satisfied smile on the corner of her mouth. Those who had intuitive ideas were most likely to be satisfied and happy. She used herself to prove this philosophical thesis. But at this moment, Charlotte suddenly shifted the muzzle by 20 degrees, and his whole body tensed up. "Hurry up and shoot, it's getting dark." Anina put away her makeup mirror and lipstick. "Don't make a sound." Charlotte gave up the scope, slightly raised his head, and looked straight at the forest. "What did you find?" Anina moved closer to Charlotte and asked curiously. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in the opposite forest. Charlotte suddenly pressed down on Anina's neck and hid behind the rock with her. Bang! A burst of sparks sputtered from the rock, and the fragments of the rock flew around like blades. A fragment of the rock cut Charlotte's cheek, and blood suddenly gushed out. Anina's body was also wounded, and a fragment of the rock cut her clothes, leaving a shallow wound on her shoulder. Yes, yes. Anina wanted to say the word killer, but in a state of panic and fear, she couldn't speak normally. Don't move, don't look up. Charlotte still pressed down on Anina's neck, for fear that she would be shot in the head by the opponent if she moved. Where is he? Anina asked nervously. In the opposite forest. Charlotte let go of Anina's neck, and then used a branch to hook the sniper rifle's handle, and carefully pulled the sniper rifle off the rock. Holding the sniper rifle in his hand, Charlotte calmed down a little. He slowly moved his head to the edge of the rock, but he didn't stick his head out. He used the X-ray ability of his left eye to see through the edge of the rock, and let his sight directly into the opposite forest. Just now, he only vaguely saw someone moving in the forest, and his vigilance and instinctive reaction allowed him to avoid the opponent's first shot. At this moment, he could clearly see the other party. He had a yellow face and triangular eyes. He was not very tall, but he was very strong. He was a typical South Asian. The South Asian sniper was hiding in a bush, and the sniper rifle in his hand was locked onto Charlotte and Anina's hiding place. The South Asian sniper had a receiver in his ear, and the black coil extended from his neck into his coat pocket. His mouth was also saying something, but Charlotte didn't understand the South Asian language, so he couldn't use his lips to interpret what he was saying. However, the receiver in his ear and his mouth sent a strong signal to Charlotte, which was that he wasn't alone. The South Asian sniper didn't give up after his first shot failed, and he didn't even change his position. Obviously, he wanted to delay Charlotte and Anina, and wait for his partner to snipe from another place. *T. There's no signal here. Anina held the phone, looking very nervous. Don't move, don't be afraid. Charlotte comforted Anina, and at the same time, slowly moved the muzzle toward the South Asian sniper. The opponent had a partner. Although he didn't know where they were, they certainly wouldn't be in position instantly. This gave Charlotte time, an opportunity to get rid of the sniper in the forest who had locked onto him and Anina. Charlotte's sniper rifle poked out from under the rock gap, through a bush, and aimed at the South Asian sniper. It was a very strange way of sniping. There was a rock in front of him, and the sniper's scope was just a decoration. The opponent's hiding place in the bush was also 1,800 meters away. Any one of these situations would make the best sniper helpless, but it wasn't an obstacle for him. He took aim and pulled the trigger. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and the bush 1,800 meters away suddenly exploded with blood. The head of the South Asian sniper hiding in the bush was suddenly cut in half by the sniper rifle's bullet. The scene looked like a watermelon that had been blown up by a bullet. The South Asian sniper couldn't understand until he died. He had clearly locked on to Charlotte. As long as Charlotte revealed his head, he would have a chance to kill Charlotte. However, he didn't even see a hair of Charlotte before his head exploded. In sniping, no one in the world could compete with Charlotte. You go down the mountain and call Long Bing. After killing the South Asian sniper, Charlotte got up and pulled Anina up from the ground. That sniper. Anina was scared to death. He's dead, but he still has a partner. You quickly leave here. I'll hold his partner. Charlotte pushed Anina. But you. Anina's face was full of worry. Charlotte shouted, Do you want us to die here? Go. Anina bit her lip, then turned and ran down the hill. Chapter 264. Every sniper had great patience and endurance. If he had a choice, Danny would never want to appear within 3,000 meters of Charlotte, who had a sniper rifle. However, Gu Dingshan hated Charlotte to the bone, and he wanted Charlotte dead no matter what. He could refuse anything, but he could not refuse Gu Dingshan's orders. I shot the South Asian sniper, and his accomplice must have known. Could it be that his accomplices were scared off? Impossible, impossible. But if his accomplice didn't run away, why didn't he show up? Could it be that he's waiting for something? Xia Lei looked up at the darkening sky and suddenly realized something. As soon as his voice fell, a muffled gunshot rang out in the forest. Charlotte didn't have any night vision equipment on him. If the other party thought that he was a very powerful opponent, they would definitely wait until it was dark before making a move. And the other party must have night vision equipment. During this time, the other party only needed to lock on the route down the mountain. "Kill me," Danny said bitterly. This shot was obviously predicted in which direction he was going to escape, and the other party shot in advance to block his escape route. Fortunately, he was delayed by a second, otherwise he would have been killed by the bullet as soon as he showed up. Charlotte seemed to be lacking in this area, but he was not an ordinary sniper. Danny instinctively laid on the ground and rolled behind the trunk of a tree. "Kane, did you see him?" he said. "Kane, did you see him? Kane? Kane?" In this world, there had never been a person who could deceive Xia Lei's eyes. Charlotte shook his head. "I won't kill you. You're still useful. I'll help you stop the bleeding and send you to the hospital for treatment. I promise you, Gu Dingshan will die with you." 3 seconds later, bang! The corner of Xia Lei's mouth revealed a trace of a sneer. He slowly took down the sniper rifle from his shoulder and placed it on a tree branch. However, his target wasn't Danny, but the blond man holding the Barrett anti-material sniper rifle. Danny lowered his voice. "Don't talk. He's more cunning than you think. You bastard, you're looting a burning house." A trace of hatred flashed across Danny's eyes, and he heard a cold voice in his heart. "After I kill Charlotte, I'll kill you." "Okay, my boss won't care about this little money. Let's get to work first. I promise you, you will get the money you want," Danny said. Another reason was that there was almost no need to guess that these snipers were assassins hired by the Gu family, so Danny might have participated in this operation. Charlotte did not want to miss this opportunity to kill Danny. However, after a few minutes, the South Asian sniper's accomplices didn't appear, and no one fired a shot. The Tang sect Qigong that he had learned from Tang Yuyan was finally put to good use. His hard work over the past half a month had also borne fruit. Charlotte gave up waiting and put the sniper rifle on his back. He looked up at the branches above his head, bent his legs, and suddenly jumped. His body suddenly rose from the ground, jumping more than 2 meters high. The soles of his feet were more than 2 meters above the ground, and with his height and arm span, he grabbed a branch that was 5 meters above the ground. He pulled up his hands and his body stood on that branch. Xia Lei frowned. "Is Gu Dingshan really worth it for you to risk your life for?" Bang! Another gunshot rang out. Facing such an opponent, who could be relaxed? What's more, a sniper expert hired from South Asia had already been killed by Xia Lei. "Ah!" Danny screamed, and his whole body was thrown to the ground by the sniper rifle bullet. "Bah!" Danny wanted to spit blood at Charlotte, but he had no strength at all. A mouthful of blood came out of the corner of his mouth, and he looked very disgusted. Charlotte hid behind a big tree, facing the direction of the mountain. From time to time, his left eye looked to the left and right, and he used his X-ray vision to look in the direction of the mountain. However, there was no movement in the whole mountain forest. Apart from the sound of the wind and the birds returning to their nest, this mountain forest was absolutely a dead world. Although the tree trunk offset part of the impact, there was still a terrible wound on his back. The bullet hit his kidney and blood gushed out. The severe pain also engulfed his every nerve. Danny reached out to grab the pistol that Charlotte had kicked aside. Okay, but you have to ask your boss to increase my commission. Such a powerful opponent, $5 million is not enough. Kane's voice was heard. Danny was lying on the ground, and the wounds on his waist and thigh kept bleeding. But he was not dead, and his heart was still beating. Kane did not stop talking. Damn, tell me, who is this guy? He could actually kill a tiger. What are you hiding? Bastard! Can you shut your mouth? Danny was angry. Running away with Anina seemed to be the wisest choice, but it was not. If they ran away together, it was the same as leaving their backs to the South Asian sniper's accomplice. Anina was not fast, and once they were caught, he and Anina would be killed. Anina's figure disappeared from his sight, and Charlotte also left the hillside that lacked trees and entered a dense mountain forest. In the process of moving, all the nerves in his body were tense, and the telescopic and X-ray vision of his left eye were also awakened. He vigilantly observed the surrounding environment. If it was any other time, on any other occasion, as an ordinary person, Charlotte would not have any excuse or reason to shoot someone. But it was different now. He was defending himself, and the gun was Tang Yuyen's. Danny's voice could still be heard from the headset, but Kane could not respond to Danny. There was a bull-sized hole in his chest, and his heart was broken. The tree trunk trembled, and wood splinters flew everywhere like shrapnel. Danny, who was hiding behind the tree, did not dare to stick his head out. He covered his head with his hands to avoid being stabbed by the splinters of the tree trunk. Just 2 seconds ago, he was still thinking about how to kill Charlotte, but now his heart was filled with fear. The image of Charlotte avoiding his sniper appeared in his mind, and a chill ran down his spine. Charlotte's left eye locked on the Asian man. Although his face was painted, Charlotte could still recognize him. He was Danny. A few minutes later, 2 targets entered his field of vision. At 8 o'clock, a blond man holding a Barrett anti-material sniper rifle. This kind of gun could penetrate the armor of an armored vehicle. Even if one hid behind a tree, it would be difficult to escape the fate of being hit. At 12 o'clock, an Asian man holding an M200 sniper rifle. Both of their faces were painted with oil, and they were also wearing the jungle camouflage used by snipers. Charlotte frowned, then raised the gun handle and smashed it on Danny's head. Damn, is this guy a human or a monster? Danny was shocked and angry, and the fear in his heart became more intense. He aimed at a tree on the other side, ready to move to another hiding place. A breeze blew through the forest, and the treetops rustled. This sound covered the sound of feet stepping on dead branches and leaves. But even with this kind of cover, and night vision equipment that could provide thermal imaging at night, Danny's nerves were still tense. As his footsteps extended, his mood became more and more nervous. You're awake. Do you need me to help you stop the bleeding? Charlotte looked concerned. $5 million for an assassin was an extremely high price in the world. From this, it could be seen how much Gu Dingshan wanted Charlotte's life. Danny abandoned his sniper rifle, took out a pistol, and lay motionless on the ground. He knew very well that even when he was not injured, he could not snipe Charlotte, let alone now. Now he only hoped that Charlotte would think that he was dead and come to check his body, and then he would sneak up on Charlotte with the pistol. Climbing up the tree, Charlotte carefully moved between the branches, and soon climbed to the highest place. Ah! Danny screamed again. 1/3 of his left thigh was blown off. The pain hit him, and he fainted before he could look back. After all, he had to deal with an opponent like Charlotte. Until now, Danny still could not help but think of the scene of him sniping Charlotte in Haiju International Hotel. At a distance of 2 kilometers, he pulled the trigger the moment the door opened, but Charlotte dodged his bullet. Charlotte slid down from the tree and ran to Danny with the sniper rifle. However, before Danny could determine when Xia Lei would shoot again, the 4th bullet suddenly flew over and hit the tree trunk behind him. This time, the bullet pierced through the broken tree trunk and pierced Danny's back. Raise the commission, add another $1,000,000, or I will quit. Kane's voice came from the headset. Kane's voice came through the headset. Danny, we've already trapped him in that forest. But I lost his trace. What's the matter with this guy? Is he a monkey? The other side was waiting for the sky to turn dark. After a weak groan, Danny opened his eyes and saw Charlotte's face. At this time, he would rather see the devil's face than Charlotte's face. Bang! A bullet flew and hit the same place on the tree trunk. The tree trunk, which had already been smashed, was broken again. The huge impact shook the trunk and sent sawdust flying. The sun sank into the western sky, and the forest gradually darkened. It seemed that it was unnecessary to wake him up. This tree was at least 20 meters tall, taller than any other trees around it. Charlotte was on the top of the tree, and his field of vision was suddenly wide. Without enough light, it was not a problem for him. Even in the dark night, his left eye could see the rabbits moving around 2,000 meters away. Danny suddenly climbed up from the ground and stuck his body to the tree trunk, looking for the next hiding place. However, when he was about to rush to the next tree, a bullet grazed the tree trunk and hit a rock beside him. Sparks flew everywhere, and some of the rock fragments hit his leg. Although it did not cut the cloth, it was still painful. He is in that forest. If it is a little darker, I can kill him, Danny said to himself, while carefully sneaking forward. On the top of the tree, Charlotte's left eye searched the forest like a radar. Playing dead? He had to trick Charlotte's eyes first. Xiaolei walked to Danny's side and used his leg to flip Danny over. He took away the pistol in Danny's hand and the saber from his body, and then pinched Danny's temple. Chapter 265. The military factory had not been built yet, nor was it in production, so the soldiers guarding the factory were naturally not in position. Anina called Long Bing and then called the police. The first to arrive were naturally the town's policemen, one old and one young, with only an old pistol. Anina rushed up the mountain with the two policemen, but when they reached the edge of the forest, the two policemen stopped. Come with me. Anina's Chinese had improved a lot. It's up there, up there. The two policemen looked at each other, dilly-dallying, not willing to go up. What are you doing? Anina was very anxious. Up there, there's a sniper, it's very dangerous. The old policeman had a bitter face. Miss, it's a sniper, what's the use of us going up there? We only have a small gun. If we go up there, I'm afraid we won't even see the person before we get killed. I only have 2 years before I retire. Don't get me into trouble. The young policeman was also very afraid. I haven't found a partner yet, let's wait for backup. Everyone was afraid of death, and the police were also people, they had parents and children to take care of. You cowards! I'll go myself. Anina stamped her feet angrily, turned around and ran up the mountain. But after a few steps, she stopped and then cheered. Lucas! You're not dead. You're still alive. Seeing Anina alive and kicking, Charlotte also breathed a sigh of relief. He smiled. I'm fine, don't worry. Charlotte was carrying Danny in his arms. He had already used silver needles to stop Danny's bleeding, and then bandaged the wound with a piece of cloth. If he had been rescued in time, Danny would have survived. From his point of view, it was not difficult to kill Danny, but a living Danny was more useful than a dead Danny. The two policemen, one old and one young, surrounded Charlotte, who was covered in blood, and the sniper rifle on his back. Out of reflex, the old policeman suddenly shouted, "Put the gun down!" Charlotte said, "I'm not a bad person, don't be nervous, don't point the gun at me, be careful of misfire." The old policeman did not put the gun down, he said nervously. You put the gun down first." Anina was furious. "What's wrong with you? You hid here and refused to go up, but now you're pointing a gun at my boyfriend." Charlotte said, "Anina, don't argue with him. I'll put the gun down. This person needs to be sent to the hospital for treatment. You can call the ambulance." Charlotte put down Danny and the sniper rifle. The senior officer took away Charlotte's sniper rifle while the junior officer used his phone to call the ambulance. Charlotte briefly explained the situation to the two policemen, and then carried Danny to the construction site at the foot of the mountain. The two policemen were relieved when they learned that Charlotte was the owner of the military factory. They followed Charlotte and Anina to the construction site of the military factory. The first to arrive was the town hospital's ambulance. After all, it was only 1 to 2 kilometers away, so they arrived in the blink of an eye. The doctors and nurses from the town hospital carried Danny into the ambulance. Charlotte was worried that there might be another accident, so he also got into the ambulance. When they arrived at the hospital, Danny was sent to the operating room. The town hospital's medical facilities were very simple, but the necessary first aid, such as blood and oxygen transfusion, could be done. Xiaolei and Anina sat on the bench outside the operating room to keep watch. The two policemen were also in the corridor, secretly looking at Charlotte and Anina. Who is this person? He opened a military factory and injured people with a sniper rifle, the junior officer said in a low voice. He must have a big background. Maybe he's a soldier, the senior officer said. What about that foreign girl? The junior officer glanced at Anina, who was lying on Charlotte's thigh. Anina's sexy but made him flustered. Where are you looking? The senior officer slapped the back of the junior officer's head. Be serious, we're handling a case. The junior officer stared at the senior officer with dissatisfaction, then moved his eyes to Anina. A sexy foreign girl was really attractive to an unmarried young man like him. Half an hour later, Long Bing arrived at the town hospital. After understanding the situation, several agents went to the mountain to deal with the two bodies. Long Bing also took Charlotte to a doctor's office to talk. Gu Dingshan really wants to take your life. One Danny isn't enough. He even invited 2 foreign assassins to kill you. No wonder we couldn't find any trace of Danny during this period of time. It turns out that he went abroad. Long Bing's eyes were cold. Charlotte said, Now that Danny is in our hands, I originally had the opportunity to kill him, but I think it's more useful to keep him alive. You did a good job. If you killed Danny, you would be helping Gu Dingshan. For Gu Dingshan, Danny's death is just like the death of a dog. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Didn't you ask me to find a way to deal with Gu Dingshan? This Danny is a good bait. With Danny in our hands, I believe Gu Dingshan won't be able to keep his cool, Charlotte said. I don't know if I can dig out any secrets from Danny's mouth. People like him are professionally trained. According to my experience, it will be very difficult to dig out any dirt on Gu Dingshan from him. Charlotte smiled. I think it's very easy. Long Bing looked at Charlotte. Do you have a way to make Danny confess? Charlotte moved closer to Long Bing's ear. I have a plan. A few minutes later, Long Bing and Charlotte walked out of the doctor's office. Anina, who was guarding the door, wanted to hold Charlotte's arm, but when she saw Long Bing's cold face, she became obedient again. Long Bing called the two policemen over and said coldly, If anyone asks you anything, you don't say anything. Do you remember? Although the two policemen didn't know where Long Bing came from, they didn't have the courage to resist when they saw Long Bing with a group of armed agents. They nodded and said together, Don't worry, we won't say anything. If anyone asks you anything, call this number immediately after that person leaves. Long Bing gave the old policeman a piece of paper. There was only a phone number written on it and nothing else. Leader, don't worry. I will do as you say. The old policeman simply called Long Bing leader. Long Bing said, There's nothing for you to do here. Go. Okay, let's go. The old policeman left with the young policeman. Uncle. Charlotte chased after them. Please give me my gun. Only then did the old policeman remember that he was still carrying the sniper rifle seized from Charlotte. He smiled embarrassedly and hurriedly took off the gun and returned it to Charlotte. Sorry, I didn't understand the situation, Charlotte said with a smile. Uncle, you didn't do anything wrong. Come to my factory some other day, and I will treat you to a drink. Okay, goodbye. The old policeman smiled and left. Opening a factory in this place, it was always good to know more acquaintances, not to mention that the other party was a local policeman, and he would have to deal with them in the future. Not long after, the agents brought by Long Bing brought the bodies of Cain and Tiger down from the mountain and put them in the morgue of the town hospital. In the cold morgue, the bodies that were beaten to a pulp, Charlotte felt a little nauseous and almost threw up. On the mountain, he killed Tiger and Cain, but at that time, he didn't have a strong feeling of killing them. After all, he was thousands of meters away. But now, looking at Cain's chest that was blown up and Tiger's head that was half blown off, the feeling of killing people came to his heart, and it was very uncomfortable. No matter who the other party was, or how much they deserved to die, they were still the same kind. Killing the same kind was rare even in the animal world, let alone people who were the most intelligent of all creatures. It's very uncomfortable, right? Long Bing smiled and said teasingly, It's okay. It will be fine after a few more experiences. A few more experiences? Charlotte smiled bitterly. I don't want to go through it again. Ugh. Anina, who entered the morgue with them, couldn't hold it in anymore. She covered her mouth and ran out. Long Bing walked to Cain's body and began to search him. Charlotte also walked to Tiger's body and began to search him. There were no documents that could prove their identity on the two killers, only some foreign currency, mobile phones, and communication devices. Both phones were turned off. This was very normal. No sniper would turn on their phone while they were working. Long Bing and Charlotte woke up the two phones one after another. They thought they could find some contacts, but there was only one contact on both phones, and it was the same contact, Danny. These two killers are experienced. They won't find anything. Long Bing frowned. Charlotte said, I didn't take Danny's phone. It's still in the operating room. There should be something on his phone. Long Bing shook her head. If I were him, I would only bring a disposable phone on a mission like this. Charlotte shrugged. Then let's go according to our plan. Long Bing nodded. Our doctor will be here soon. I will take Danny away. Are you coming with me or? I'll take care of my side. Keep in touch, Charlotte said. Innings 101 also had its own medical team. Charlotte didn't know about this. However, Long Bing's judgment was very accurate. When he and Long Bing left the morgue, a military ambulance with bulletproof and explosion-proof functions arrived at the town hospital. Long Bing talked to the doctor who rushed over, and then the doctor brought a few medical staff into the operating room. Danny was quickly transferred to the ambulance and drove in the direction of the city. Long Bing also left with her people. A few agents who came along also put Cain and Tiger's bodies into body bags and took them away. Charlotte found Anina in a women's bathroom. She was hugging the sink and vomiting. Charlotte walked over and gently patted her back, comforting her. It's okay. The bodies have been taken away. That's disgusting. Anina put her mouth under the faucet to rinse her mouth. She didn't want Charlotte to smell the smell of her vomiting. Xiaolei didn't know what was going on, but the image of a tiger's corpse with half its head missing suddenly appeared in his mind. His stomach churned and he pushed Anina away. Holding the sink, he vomited with a loud sound. Ha ha! Anina laughed. So you're like me. Charlotte waved his hand and slapped her on the butt. You're still talking? Think about the situation. If we had fooled around for a while longer, we would have been killed. That was indeed the case. If Danny and the other two killers had appeared a few minutes earlier, he would still be doing that with Anina. At that time, it would have been very easy for them to kill him and Anina. Such a thing really made him break out in a cold sweat. Anina giggled. No, I know my ability very well. I have the ability to end you early. Charlotte was speechless. Chapter 266. Early the next morning, Charlotte called a taxi in the small town and went to the city. On the way, he called Tang Yuyan, and then took the engineering plastic box with the sniper rifle to Tang Yuyan's home. Charlotte rang the doorbell, but Tang Yuyan's voice came from the house. "Didn't I give you the key?" Tang Yuyan was in the living room, but she didn't come to open the door for him. Charlotte smiled bitterly, took out the key ring, found the key Tang Yuyan gave him, and then opened the door with it. As soon as he entered the door, he saw a wooden dummy in the living room, and Tang Yuyan was standing in front of the wooden dummy practicing Wing Chun. She seemed to be afraid that the hard wooden dummy would damage her skin, or cause calluses or something, so she wrapped the wooden dummy with a thick layer of gauze. With her wrapping it like this, the wooden dummy looked like a zombie, which was a very funny feeling. However, Tang Yuyan was beautiful. She was still wearing the black sports bikini, skin-tight vest and shorts. Her breasts were big and buttocks were perky, and the wonderful curves of her body were perfectly outlined. Especially the plump buttocks and the indentation between her legs, they could easily arouse a man's desire. Tang Yuyan didn't look back. She continued to practice the wooden dummy, punching, slapping, and kicking. Every movement caused her chest and buttocks to vibrate, like ripples, like waves, and the trembling feeling would make people's mouth dry. Charlotte put the engineering plastic box on the ground and said with a smile, "What's the use of practicing like this?" Only then did Tang Yuyan stop punching and walking towards Charlotte. "You have to understand that I'm a woman. If I practice with a layer of calluses on my hands and feet, who would want me?" Charlotte joked, "You're so beautiful, I'm afraid the men who pursue you will line up for several miles. How come no one is chasing you?" "Hee hee." Tang Yuyan giggled. She pursed her lips and looked very cute. She glanced at the plastic engineering box that Charlotte had placed on the ground. "Is it done?" "Of course, I've tested it. Its effective range can reach 3,200 meters, about the same as Long Bing's." Charlotte said, "So, the 3 killers you killed last night used this sniper rifle?" Tang Yuyan opened the engineering plastic box and quickly loaded the gun. Charlotte said, "Yes, this is the gun." There was no way such a thing could be hidden from Tang Yuyan, who was on the same level as Long Bing. Charlotte only said this short sentence, and Tang Yuyan loaded the sniper rifle in the engineering plastic box, then pointed the muzzle at Charlotte. Charlotte dodged subconsciously, but he quickly realized that there were no bullets in the gun. Tang Yuyan said with a smile, "Your reaction is quite fast." She moved closer to the scope and then said in surprise, "You polish the scope?" Charlotte said, "If you don't polish the scope, how can you lock on a target 3 kilometers away?" Tang Yuyan gave Charlotte a thumbs up. "You're amazing." Charlotte said, "I gave you the gun. When are you going to teach me the Tang family's martial arts?" "I knew you would mention this, so I deliberately took a vacation at home today." Tang Yuyan put down the sniper rifle and suddenly swept her leg toward Charlotte. Her speed was extremely fast, and her strength was also very great. The pink leg that came close to the ground was like a white eel. The black sports shorts suddenly tightened her buttocks and the root of her thighs, which really made people worry that the thin layer of fabric would suddenly split, as if something would be exposed. Charlotte gently jumped back and avoided Tang Yuyan's sneak attack. Tang Yuyan bounced up, and her fists and feet were like the wind. Each move was faster than the previous one, and her fists and feet hit Charlotte like raindrop. She was using Wing Chun Kung Fu. Charlotte calmly dealt with each move. He also knew very well that if he wanted to learn the Tang family's martial arts, he had to teach her Wing Chun Kung Fu first. It was the same last time. It was really as Long Bing said. She was a very smart and cunning woman, and would not easily believe anyone. They practiced and taught each other. The whole day passed like this. It was already dark when they left Tang Yuyan's house. After a whole day of martial arts exchange, Charlotte also got a handwritten booklet from Tang Yuyan. It recorded the mystery of Tang sex Qigong and the cultivation method. But it was not comprehensive. Although it was the first time for Charlotte to see this booklet, he had used Tang Sek's Qigong in depth. He knew some things that even Tang Yuyan herself did not know. So compared with what he said, he knew that the booklet that Tang Yuyan gave him was not comprehensive, and some important things were hidden. However, what Tang Yuyan gave him was the part that could not be seen with his eyes. Combined with the part that he saw with his left eye, he had actually got the whole content. This was something that Tang Yuyan did not know. Tang Yuyan kept something from him, and he also kept something from Tang Yuyan. He also wrote a Wing Chun Kung Fu booklet for Tang Yuyan, but it was not complete. Although Tang Yuyan kept something from him, Charlotte also understood her. Apart from the Tang Sek's rules, ancestral skills were not taught to outsiders. This bad habit was actually very common in China's martial arts world. After leaving Tang Yuyan's house, Charlotte still took a taxi to Long Bing's house and spent the night at her house. That night the two discussed for a long time. The next morning, Charlotte left Long Bing's house and went to a coffee shop. Not long after, a young man wearing glasses came in front of him. "Are you Mr. Xia?" The young man adjusted the black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose and asked politely. Charlotte nodded. "I am, and you are?" "I am Hua Ying from the National Daily. I am the person who answered your phone. I am the editor-in-chief of the National Daily," Hua Ying said. "Please have a seat." Charlotte invited Hua Ying to take a seat, then put a file on the table and pushed it in front of Hua Ying. "Take a look. If you think you dare to publish it, you can take it away." Hua Ying opened the file and took out the things inside. The more he read, the more serious his face became. The things in the file were prepared by Long Bing for Charlotte. They were the information about some officials who had an affair with the Gu family, which Long Bing had obtained through special channels. Some of the transactions could even be used as evidence. These materials. Hua Ying wanted to say something but stopped. Charlotte said, "Do you dare to expose them?" Hua Ying was silent for a moment and then said, "It's not that I don't dare, but you should know that if I publish these things, these people will definitely join forces to mess with me. It's a small matter if I lose my job, but what if they?" Charlotte said, "Don't worry. The person who recommended you to me is not easy to deal with. We will ensure your safety. In addition, I have also considered the loss you will face, and I have prepared it for you." "What do you mean?" There was a hint of vigilance in Hua Ying's eyes. Charlotte took out an envelope from his pocket and put it in front of Hua Ying. Hua Ying opened the envelope and took a look. He saw a Citibank savings card and frowned. "Mr. Xia, what do you mean by this?" Charlotte said with a smile, "Mr. Hua, Citibank has a branch in the capital. You can take the money from it at any time. This bank is not managed by the domestic banking supervision system, so it won't be found. There is 5 million in it, which should be enough to pay for your loss." This. Hua Ying looked hesitant. Now that the traditional media was declining, an editor-in-chief like him only had an annual salary of about 300,000 yuan. Charlotte suddenly gave him 5 million yuan, which was his salary for more than 10 years. Charlotte said, "Don't worry. I didn't leave any record when I deposited the money, and I don't have any listening devices on me. If you don't believe me, we can go to the bathroom and I'll let you search me." "No, no, no. Mr. Xia, what kind of person do you think I am?" Hua Ying said awkwardly, "I'm not one of those corrupt officials. I know Mr. Hua is an honest person, but an honest person should also have the opportunity to earn this kind of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bribe you. I'm just giving you a reward for your work," Charlotte said. Hua Ying thought for a moment and finally put the envelope away. Charlotte smiled and said, "Mr. Hua, you are the editor-in-chief, and you have people under you. You also have friends in the media. I ask you to spread this material. The more media reports about it, the better. Can you help me with this?" Hua Ying nodded and said, "No problem. If there was still a problem after receiving 5 million yuan, it would be a problem of greed. Hor-Ing didn't stay for long. He took the file bag and left. Charlotte sat alone for a while and also left the cafe. Then he went to a 4S shop. Lima Manufacturing Company opened a military factory in the capital. As the boss, he had to spend a lot of time in the capital. He couldn't go without a car. The capital had limited license plates, and it was difficult to get a license plate. But this kind of trouble didn't exist for him at all. He only needed to choose a car and then tell Long Bing. She would naturally take care of the license plate. This time, Charlotte didn't buy a sports car. Instead, he went to a Chevrolet 4S shop and bought an imported Chevrolet Suburban off-road van. This car was strong and crash-resistant. Its off-road performance was also very good. It was suitable for urban and mountain road conditions. There was a special reason why he chose this CIA car. This was the territory of the Gu family. If the Gu family sent someone to crash his car, this car wouldn't be afraid at all. This situation might not happen, but it was always good to be on guard. Charlotte swiped his card and drove the Chevrolet Suburban on the streets of the capital. While waiting for the red light at an intersection, Charlotte called Long Bing. "I was just about to call you. Is it done?" Long Bing's voice was on the other side. Charlotte said, "It's done. He took my money. Also, he's worried that the Gu family will take revenge on him. You have to find 2 people to secretly protect him. That way, he'll be more at ease." "You don't have to worry about that. I've arranged everything," Long Bing said. "Come to the military hospital immediately. Danny is awake." "I'll be there right away." Charlotte hung up the phone and drove to the hospital. Danny woke up and the horn of counterattack sounded. Chapter 267. Walking into the lobby of the Army Hospital, Charlotte met Long Bing, who was waiting for him in the lobby. "I saw you driving a new car. Did you just buy it?" Long Bing said casually. "I didn't have a car in the capital, so I bought one." Charlotte said, "As you can see, the new car doesn't have a license plate. It's difficult to get a license plate in the capital, so I need your help." Long Bing's mouth slightly tilted. "You only know how to find trouble for me. Well, for the sake of teaching me Wing Chun, I'll help you with this." Charlotte smiled. "Thank you. Where is Danny?" "Come with me," said Long Bing. Charlotte followed Long Bing to a special ward on the top floor of the inpatient department. The entire corridor was guarded by Long Bing's people. Even the hospital's doctors and nurses needed to get permission and be examined if they wanted to contact Danny. The doctor removed one of Danny's kidneys. The shot you fired at his thigh destroyed his thigh muscle. He can only walk on one leg. At the door of the ward, Long Bing said to Charlotte. At the time, he didn't feel it, but listening to Long Bing at this time, Charlotte's heart had a cruel feeling. A top assassin lost a kidney and a leg. Although he could still live, this kind of life was undoubtedly more uncomfortable than death for people like Danny, and all of this was caused by him. However, thinking of Lu Xing, who was still lying in the hospital, and Xia Shui, who was almost kidnapped by Danny, Charlotte's guilt disappeared. Some people in this world were not worthy of sympathy. Danny was such a person, and Gu Dingshan and his 2 children were also such people. Long Bing seemed to see Charlotte's thoughts. She patted Charlotte's shoulder. "Don't think too much. It was my first time shooting someone, and I didn't feel good, but I slowly got used to it." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "That's your job. I'm different from you." Long Bing said, "There's no difference. You're also a consultant for 101 innings. Do you know what Bosher thinks of you?" "What did he say about me?" Charlotte was very curious. "He said that you are a natural killer. A person like you should be the chief sniper of our 101 innings. Long Bing said. "He also asked me to ask if you are interested." Charlotte quickly interrupted Long Bing. "Let's go in and see Danny." In the beginning, he was willing to become a consultant for 101 innings just to find a protective talisman. Now that he had more than $1 billion, he had not even married a wife, and the Xia family's lineage had not been continued. How could he be the chief sniper? The door of the ward opened. Danny stared blankly at Charlotte and Long Bing, who walked into the ward. His body was wrapped in gauze and had a lot of tubes inserted into it. Dying, he no longer had the aura of a killer. Instead, he looked like an unlucky person who had been in a car accident. Seeing Charlotte, Danny's eyes suddenly had a fierce look. He also raised his hands, but his hands were cuffed to the iron frame on both sides of the bed, so he could not lift them at all. Charlotte looked very friendly. He walked to the bedside and said, "Danny, are you feeling better? Get lost." Danny made such a sound in his throat. His disgust and hatred for Charlotte had reached the point of no return. Long Bing reached out and knocked on Danny's injured leg. She said coldly, "You'd better be smart or you'll suffer. You can try." Danny was not afraid, and his tone was also very tough. Long Bing raised her hand again, but this time Charlotte grabbed her hand. "Let me talk to him." Long Bing coldly snorted and put down her hand. "Danny, let's talk." Charlotte sat on a chair next to the bed and looked straight at Danny. Danny said disdainfully, "Don't waste your time and saliva. I won't say anything. You can let the court sentence me to death, or you can kill me directly. I don't care." Charlotte smiled. "I know you are an orphan. Gu Dingshan adopted you and then trained you to be a cold-blooded killer. I believe that Gu Dingshan has more than one adopted son like you. He treats you as a hunting dog, and never treats you as his son. Why are you still so loyal?" Danny closed his eyes. He could not stop Charlotte from talking to him, but he could choose not to see Charlotte's hateful face. Charlotte continued, "Danny, does Gu Dingshan know that you are so loyal?" "I don't know any Gu Dingshan." Danny did not even bother to open his eyes. "Oh, I'm not a judge. It doesn't matter if you admit your relationship with Gu Dingshan. What I want to tell you is, if Gu Dingshan knows that you are still alive and in our hands, what do you think he will do?" Danny closed his mouth. "He will kill you." Charlotte said, "Cooperate with us and be our witness." "Ha ha!" Danny opened his eyes, but his eyes were full of ridicule. "Do you think you can convince me?" I said, "Don't waste my time and saliva. Get out." Charlotte was not angry at all. "It seems that you are a person who values friendship and righteousness. I admire your loyalty to Gu Dingshan. However, I have provided a lot of information about Gu Dingshan's crimes to the media in your name. Those materials will be spread on the newspaper and the internet tomorrow. I don't know what Gu Dingshan will think when he sees it." Bang! Danny suddenly propped himself up, but the handcuffs pulled him back. Charlotte's words had aroused his anger. "I know that Gu Dingshan must have instilled a lot of things into you. I can't convince you, but it doesn't matter. We are here today to collect your voice," Charlotte said with a smile. Long Bing took out a recording pen from her trouser pocket and said lightly, "We will synthesize your voice and make an audio file of your confession. I don't know what Gu Dingshan will think when he hears this audio file." "You two bastards!" Danny roared, but the pain that followed made him weak again. Charlotte said, "Think about it. I know you think your life is worthless, and it doesn't matter if you live or die. But I think you must have something or someone in your life that is worth cherishing. Are you married? Do you have children?" Danny's expression changed, but he did not say anything. This change did not escape Charlotte's eyes. His left eye twitched slightly, and he quickly saw that Danny's heart was beating faster. He said calmly, "You probably have a woman you love, right? Or a lovely child?" "No." Danny looked very calm. Charlotte smiled. "Well, if you don't have one, then you don't have one. I'm just reminding you that Gu Dingshan knows you betrayed him. He will definitely do something to make sure you don't talk nonsense. I know Gu Dingshan, and I believe he will do that because he is inhumane. It's best if you don't have a woman or children, or I'm afraid they will be in danger. Well, have a good rest and think about cooperating with us. Danny did not pay attention to Charlotte at all. Charlotte gave Long Bing a look, and the two left the ward. Charlotte walked to the end of the corridor and said, "This guy must have a woman, maybe even a child." Long Bing was surprised. "How do you know?" Charlotte said, "I was just trying to get information out of him." He looked calm on the surface, but he was actually very nervous. His eyes, his lips, and his hands all showed signs of nervousness. Didn't you see it? In fact, he did not observe Danny's eyes or lips. He saw through Danny's heart. Expressions could be disguised, but heartbeats could not. Once people were nervous, their heartbeats would accelerate and become irregular. Based on this point, if Charlotte wanted to know whether a person was lying or not, he could see through that person's heart. However, this kind of thing was certainly impossible to explain to Long Bing. Long Bing frowned. He has no files to check, and he can't say anything. Even if he does, it is almost impossible for us to find it. Charlotte said, "We can't find it, but it doesn't mean that others can't find it. We just need to follow the right person, and we will naturally find it. If we have something that Danny is afraid of losing, he may become our witness." Long Bing's heart moved. "Are you talking about the Gu family?" "Yes. Those materials will be exposed tomorrow, and Gu Dingshan will certainly suspect that Danny betrayed him. With Gu Dingshan's style, he will not let Danny live. Danny is in your hands, and it is almost impossible for him to kill him. If he wants to force Danny to submit, he needs something that can threaten Danny," Charlotte said. "That's right, but what if Danny doesn't have a woman or a child?" Long Bing said, "I've already made a big move this time. If I transfer the people of the Bureau to monitor the Gu family, even if Mr. Sure doesn't find trouble with me, someone will find trouble with me. Do you understand what I mean?" Of course, Charlotte understood that the role Long Bing was playing now was very awkward. She captured Danny and used special channels to provide him with the Gu family's materials. In fact, these were not approved by Sherborne, because there was no action against Gu Dingshan. Now, if Long Bing were to send people to spy on the Gu family, would the people who were on the same side as the Gu family let her go? Charlotte thought for a moment. "I'll do it myself," Long Bing said. "If there is any situation, contact me immediately. Also, you must remember to be fast. Tomorrow, when those materials are exposed, the Gu family will definitely take action. I'm worried that they will use their connections to detain Danny somewhere else. Once we lose control of Danny, our plan will not have a good effect. I'll go now. Besides the North Building, where else does Gu Dingshan live?" Long Bing said, "He has a lot of houses under his name, and there are dozens of them in the city. But he doesn't like to live in the city. He has a manor in the suburbs, West Ridge, Centurial Garden. You can find the Centurial Garden when you get to West Ridge. It's very big and famous in the area." "I'll remember it. I'll go now," Charlotte said and left. Long Bing stopped him. "Remember, don't do stupid things." Charlotte turned back to look at her and said with a smile, "Aren't you worried that I'll have an accident?" Long Bing lightly said, "3 top assassins have fallen in your hands. Do I still need to worry about you having an accident?" Charlotte smiled bitterly and turned away. Long Bing looked at Charlotte's back until Charlotte disappeared from her sight. Then, she said to herself, "After this is over, I have to have a good chat with him. Is it normal for a kid from a construction site to easily kill 3 top-notch assassins?" Chapter 268. Night fell, and the lights of the city were like a dream. The black Chevrolet Suburban sped on the road out of the city. Charlotte's mind slowly drifted in the night wind as he thought of many things. Xiao and the AE Research Center both know that I am the user of the AE capsule. The higher-ups of the CIB and some big shots of the UA military must also know about this. After Xiao's identity was exposed, The UA has not launched any action against me so far. If the UA doesn't want China to know about this and is unwilling to act rashly, then when the UA takes action again, they will definitely be extremely careful. Can I deal with it? My ability is getting stronger and stronger. It is growing like a child. I can't guarantee that I can hide forever. If I am discovered by 101 innings, or if China gets information from the UA, how should I deal with it? For the future, Charlotte was full of worries. In fact, compared to an opponent like Gu Dingshan, the AE Research Center and the CIB were the opponents he was most afraid of. Not for anything else, but because he was invincible. If only my father was by my side. He could tell me the truth and help me solve the problem, but, thinking of his father, Xia Changhe, Charlotte's heart inexplicably ached. After Evgenia's death, his father, Xia Changhe, seemed to have disappeared without a trace. West Ridge was a small town near the mountains. The Centennial Garden was next to it. It was surrounded by mountains and water, covering an area of dozens of acres, and was magnificent. From afar, it looked like the residence of a noble from ancient times. Charlotte parked the car on a side of the road, then walked around the town to the Centennial Garden. The Centennial Garden was brightly lit, and there were bodyguards patrolling inside and outside the garden. Charlotte hid in the dark and quickly determined the number of bodyguard. It was a terrifying 30 people. So many bodyguards. They must know that Danny's operation failed and are afraid of my revenge, so they have so many bodyguards protecting this place. Charlotte's mouth formed a sneer. With so many bodyguards here, Gu Dingshan must also be here. Although there were many bodyguards in Centennial Garden, the security inside and outside was tight. Such a lineup was useless against Charlotte. With the ability of his left eye, it took less than 10 minutes for Charlotte to reach the forest behind the Centennial Garden from a small path in the field. He then chose a blind spot in the surveillance and climbed over the wall to enter the Centennial Garden. Squatting in a bush of flowers by the wall, Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly as it slowly scanned the houses. 5 minutes later, he found Gu Dingshan's location. In the study of the Centennial Garden, Gu Dingshan looked solemnly at several visitors who had come to visit at night. These visitors weren't ordinary people. They were all important people with power and authority. Gu Kuwu was also there. He stood behind Gu Dingshan, observing the expressions of the visitors. "Old Gu, things have gotten out of hand. How should we deal with this?" Someone asked. "I don't know what you're thinking. What era is it now?" Someone said, "It's the era of global economic integration. Everyone is busy making money. I don't understand why you have to mess with that kid. Now you've shot yourself in the foot. He's over there. I've already told you about the situation over there. It's a very special department. Unless it's a matter of life and death, I'd rather not deal with that stubborn donkey, Sherboran," someone said. Outside the study, on a broad-leaved banyan tree, Charlotte quietly hid in the dense canopy and stared straight at the wall of the study. Under the state of X-ray vision, he could see everyone in the study. Although he couldn't hear their voices, the lip-reading technique allowed him to know what they were talking about. Gu Dingshan was silent for a moment, then said, "I underestimated that kid. I didn't expect him to have something to do with that department. But it's already happened. You can't just sit back and do nothing. We're on the same boat. If we didn't help you, we wouldn't have come here tonight," someone said. "It's just that this time it's very troublesome. Your man is over there. If he doesn't keep his mouth shut, you'll be in big trouble," another person said. Gu Dingshan said, "You can rest assured about this. I raised him and he's very loyal to me. He won't open his mouth and talk nonsense." "That's good. I need 2 days. In these 2 days, you'd better make sure that your man doesn't talk nonsense," someone said. Gu Dingshan said, "You can rest assured. I trust my man. Also, this time I won't let you help me for nothing. I'll give you 10% more shares of the copper mine in Myanmar." "Ha ha ha." The study was filled with laughter. Old Gu, you don't have any good points, but you're very straightforward. Okay, it's settled, someone said with a smile. Old Gu, leave it to us, someone said. They chatted for a while and then got up to leave. Gu Dingshan sent the visitors to the door of the study and then returned to the study. A moment ago, Gu Dingshan was still calm and relaxed. But when he returned to the study, he kicked a purple teapot on the coffee table and broke it to the ground. Damn it, why? Gu Dingshan looked angry. How can a kid from a construction site be so difficult to deal with? Is he really Monkey-san? Danny and two top assassins from abroad couldn't kill him. Instead, two of them died and one was injured. Gu Kawu's lips moved. He wanted to say something, but he didn't. In fact, he couldn't understand it. In his impression, Danny was already a very terrifying top-notch killer. In addition, there were two top-notch killers hired from abroad for $10 million. 3 killers went to kill a kid from a construction site, but it ended up like this. Who could understand such a thing? What do you think? Gu Dingshan looked at Gu Kawu. Gu Qian said, Dad, the most important thing now is to make sure that you won't say anything bad to us. You were the one who raised him, and you were the one who trained him. He knows too much. It'd be great if that kid Charlotte killed him, but he's still alive. He's like a time bomb to us. We don't know when he'll blow us up. You mean to kill him? Gu Dingshan's face darkened as he said, It's not that I haven't thought about it, but he's in the hands of those people. Those people aren't ordinary people. Killing Danny in their hands will only invite more trouble. Gu Kawu sneered. Didn't Uncle Chio just say that he'll find a way to get him out of there in 2 days? As long as Danny leaves there, wouldn't it be easy for us to kill him? He's seriously injured. Just give him some medicine and he'll shut his mouth forever. 2 days. Gu Dingshan was naturally suspicious. He kept saying that Danny wouldn't betray him, but he himself doubted it. Dad, are you worried that Danny will confess in 2 days? Gu Dingshan said, Danny is very loyal. I've always believed in him, but... He frowned and his tone changed. That kid is the factor that worries me the most. Anything that involves him will never be good. Danny isn't someone who's afraid of death, but that kid has a belly full of crafty plots. If Danny is seduced or deceived by him, then we'll be in a more passive position. That kid was obviously referring to Charlotte. Outside the study, Charlotte was reading the secret conversation between the father and son of the Gu family with his lip. He had a very strange feeling. Dad, I don't have any confidence in what you said. That kid is too difficult to deal with. Our Gu family started with Haiju, and I can't even count how many opponents we've defeated. But I've never seen such an abnormal and disgusting person. Just thinking of his name gives me a headache. With such an opponent, nothing is certain. Gu Kawu's brows were also knitted into a ball. No, we can't have any accidents. We have to make sure that Danny doesn't confess. Gu Dingshan seemed to have made up his mind. Dad, I'll go and see, Gu Kawu said. I'll talk to him myself. No, you can't go. We have to cut off our relationship with him at this time, Gu Dingshan said. Then who should we find to talk to him? It's not difficult to find someone to see him. You don't need to do this, Gu Dingshan said. Go and bring Danny's woman and child here. Gu Kawu suddenly froze. Danny's woman and child? How come I don't know that Danny has a woman and child? Gu Dingshan said, I'm the only one who knows about this. Danny's woman is in the Angel Orphanage. Her name is Sang Qingxin. She's the dean of the orphanage. Her and Danny's daughter is Sang Yeye, 3 years old this year. With his woman and child in our hands, we just need to give him a hint. Even if he dies, he won't betray us. I know I'll go. Gu Kawu turned around and walked away. Bring more people and be careful, Gu Dingshan said. Gu Kawu responded and went out the door. Behind the study, Charlotte grabbed a branch and gently landed on the ground. Then, He quickly ran to the backyard wall. His speed was very fast. After a sprint, his feet slammed on the ground and his body rose from the ground. He jumped over the 3-meter-high wall and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. This time, he took the risk of sneaking into the Gu family's centennial garden. Charlotte had already obtained what he wanted. Danny really had a wife and child. This was a breakthrough, but he had to rush to the Angel Orphanage before Danny and take away Danny's woman and child. This breakthrough was not accidental. If he didn't have the ability to see through things, he wouldn't have been able to find the nervous reaction reflected in Danny's heart, and he wouldn't have suspected that Danny had a woman and child. In fact, the fact that Danny had a woman and child was the last trump card that Gu Dingshan kept in his hands to control Danny. Even Gu Kawu didn't know about it. Now, he was the third person to know this secret. The black Chevrolet Suburban off-road van sped on the road, heading in the direction of the city. Chapter 269. No one was born a demon, and even a demon had a soft and kind side in his heart. 3 years ago, Danny passed by an orphanage and saw its terrible environment, as well as the pitiful children inside. His heart was suddenly pulled back to his childhood. He went in, wanting to leave something for the children. It was also at that time that a kind girl walked into his life. This kind girl was Sang Qingshin. She fell in love with a demon and gave birth to a daughter for him. In Sang Qingshin's world, Danny wasn't a demon. He was just a purchasing agent for a foreign company and often traveled on business. Every time Danny came home, it was the happiest time in her life. Her room was full of laughter. She liked to see Danny lift her baby Sangyaya up high. She thought it was the most beautiful scene. It was late at night, but Sangyaya refused to sleep. "Mommy, when will Daddy come back?" Sangyaya blinked her big black eyes, looking innocent and curious. "Your daddy has only been gone for a few days and you already miss him?" Sang Qingshin patted Sangyaya's little head. "Go to sleep. Your daddy will be back when you wake up." "I won't sleep. I want Daddy." "You're not obedient, are you? Watch me tickle you." Sang Qingshin reached out and tickled Sangyaya's armpit. "Ha ha ha." Sangyaya rolled around on the bed. "Go to sleep, go to sleep." Sang Qingshin couldn't bear to continue tickling her. Sangyaya's eyes were still wide open. "Mommy, why is my surname Sang?" Sang Qingshin was stunned. "Your daddy said that girls should take my surname, and boys should take his. Mommy wants to give you a younger brother. He will take your father's surname Dan. Why don't the children here have parents? Their parents don't want them anymore. That's why they live in the orphanage." "I live in the orphanage too. But why do I have a father and a mother?" "Idiot, stop asking questions. If you don't sleep, I'll spank you." "Mommy, I miss Daddy." In the small room, the nagging voice was full of motherly love and warmth. Outside the window, Charlotte felt sour in his heart. The woman in the house was waiting for her man, and the child in the house was waiting for her father, but the man they were waiting for would never come back to them. After hesitating for a moment, Charlotte knocked on the door. "Who is it?" In the room, Sang Qingshin's voice was filled with vigilance. "Excuse me, are you Miss Sang Qingshin?" Charlotte asked. "It's me. Who are you? How did you get in?" Sang Qing was very nervous. Charlotte said, "Don't be afraid and don't be nervous. I'm not a bad person. I'm Danny's friend. I have something urgent to tell you." "Are you Danny's friend?" "I've never seen his friends." Sang Qingshin still didn't open the door. "Leave now or I'll call the police." Charlotte said, "Danny had a car accident. The doctor needs the family's signature to perform the surgery. It was Danny who told me this address. If you don't go to the hospital to sign it, he'll die." The door was soon opened. The woman standing at the door was thin, and her skin was a little yellow. She was not beautiful. She had a kind and simple aura unique to Chinese women. "Come with me," Charlotte said, Danny's situation is very dangerous. Well, take the child with you. Danny wants to see Yaya. Wait, I'll take the child. Sang Qingxin was also panicked. She hurriedly picked up Sang Yaya and followed Charlotte in her slippers without even putting on her shoes. Mom, what happened to Dad? After all, Sang Yaya was only a 3-year-old child. She didn't know what a car accident was. Sang Qingxin wiped her tears. Let's go see Dad now. Okay, I want to see Dad. Haha. Sang Yaya was so happy that she danced. Charlotte sighed softly and opened the door. Please get in. Sang Qingxin sat in the passenger seat with Sang Yaya in her arms. Charlotte also got in the car. They started the car and drove to the gate of the orphanage. The gate of the orphanage was wide open, but the old man who guarded the gate didn't come out to close it. Sang Qingxin suddenly looked at Charlotte and asked vigilantly, "How did you get in?" This was the second time she had asked this question. When she heard Charlotte say that Danny had a car accident, she was confused and forgot to ask. But now the gate was wide open, which made her vigilant again. Charlotte didn't speak. He stepped on the gas and the black Chevrolet Suburban quickly rushed out of the gate of the Angel Orphanage and sped along the empty road. "Let me out!" Sang Qingxin was shocked and angry. She shouted at Charlotte, "Or I'll call the police." Charlotte ignored her and kept driving. Sang Qingxin took out her phone. She was really going to call the police. Charlotte snatched the phone from Sang Qingxin's hand and said sternly, "Calm down. I'm not a bad person. I'm trying to save you." Wah! Sang Yaya was scared to tears by Charlotte. Sang Qingxin was also scared to tears. She sobbed and said, "Big brother, I don't have money. Please let me and my child go. Please don't hurt us. I really don't have money. My orphanage relies on donations from kind-hearted people. I beg you." At this moment, Charlotte really wanted to tell them the truth. But seeing their tears, he couldn't open his mouth. Telling Sang Qingxin and Sang Yaya the truth was just a matter of opening his mouth. But for Sang Qingxin and Sang Yaya, it was something that would last a lifetime. Would a kind-hearted woman like Sang Qingxin accept that the man she loved was a demonic killer? And for a cute child like Sang Yaya, would she accept that her father was a bad person? How would she face the strange eyes and comments of other students when she went to school in the future? "Shut up." Charlotte pretended to be fierce. "Or else." He didn't say the threat out loud, but Sang Qingxin closed her mouth. Sang Yaya was still crying. Sang Qingxin quickly covered the little fellow's mouth, for fear that the child's crying would annoy the fierce man in front of her and cause some misfortune. Charlotte parked the car on the side of the road and looked back in the direction of the Angel Orphanage. Sang Qingxin quietly reached out to open the car door, but the door was locked. She couldn't open it at all. Charlotte said, "Don't be silly. I'm here to save you. Look behind you." Sang Qingxin looked back as well. At this time, several black Toyota Prado, led by a Bugatti Veyron, appeared on the side of the road of the Angel Orphanage. The car door opened, and a group of people in black suits quickly walked to the gate of the orphanage. Sang Qingxin's eyes stopped on Gu Kuwu, who was standing at the gate of the orphanage. This was the first time she saw Gu Kuwu. She didn't know him at all. "Who are they?" Sang Qingxin asked tentatively. Charlotte said, "They are bad people. If I were one step late, you and your child would have fallen into their hands. They would have used you to threaten Danny. Believe me, I'm protecting you. I won't hurt you. I'll let you see Danny." Why should I believe you?" Sang Qingxin was still vigilant. Charlotte said, "You don't have a choice. You said you're protecting us. Then just send me and Yaya to the police station," Sang Qingxin said. Charlotte started the car without turning on the lights. He turned into an intersection and drove straight in the direction of the military factory. At the gate of the Angel Orphanage, 2 bodyguards quickly approached the guardhouse. After observing for a while, one of the bodyguards said, "Young Master Wu, there's an old man sleeping like a log. There's no surveillance, said the other bodyguard. Don't worry about him. Go and find them for me. Gukawu was in no mood to care about the old guard. More than a dozen bodyguards quickly spread out and searched every room for Sang Qingshin and Sang Yi. Without Charlotte's left eye, they could only open every door and search. Gukawu stood in the small yard where the children were playing. His brows gradually furrowed as the doors were pushed open one after another. He suddenly sensed something and quickly turned his head to look at the wide-open door. The door was open when he brought them here. How could the old guard not close the door? Shit! Gukawu dashed to the guardhouse. The old guard was awakened by a glass of cold water splashed on him. He opened his eyes and saw the fiendish-looking Gukawu. Gukawu grabbed the old guard's collar and angrily shouted, "Speak! Did someone come here just now?" The old guard was scared silly. "You, what are you doing? Speak!" Gukawu pressed the old guard on the bed. I don't know. I only saw you. What do you want?" The old man suddenly seemed to understand something. Trembling, he took out a roll of coins from his mouth and handed it to Gukawu. I only have this much. I'll give it all to you. Please don't scare the children. At this moment, Gukawu wanted to bang his head on the wall. He was the young master of the Gu family with a net worth of tens of billions. How dare this old man treat him as a robber? It was fine if he was treated as a robber, but this old man didn't even have 100 yuan. A bodyguard appeared at the door of the guardhouse. "Young Master Wu, there's no one. We've searched every room. We didn't see the mother and daughter." "What?" Gukawu's heart suddenly sank into the ice valley. He realized something when he thought the door was open. He didn't expect that the more he worried about something, the more it happened. Another bodyguard appeared at the door. "Young Master Wu, we've searched everywhere. What should we do?" At this moment, Charlotte's face appeared in Gukawu's mind. When this face appeared in his mind, he lost his spirit. It was as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. This was a feeling that was hard to describe with words. He had already calculated all the mechanisms, but Xia Lei was always one step ahead. Why? "Young Master Wu, what do we do now?" a bodyguard asked carefully. Gukawu suddenly roared like a madman. "What are you still standing here for? Search for me. Even if you have to turn the entire capital upside down, you must find the mother and daughter." A large group of bodyguards looked at each other. The capital was so big and had a population of more than 20 million. Where were they going to find the mother and daughter? Chapter 270. Just where are you taking us? When the car drove out of the city, Sang Qingshin became nervous again as tears fell silently. Sang Yeye was already asleep. After all, she was only a 3-year-old child. She slept very soundly. Even when her mother's tears fell on her face, she didn't wake up. "To a safe place," Charlotte said. "No, you don't have the right to take us anywhere." Sang Qingshin lost control of her emotions. "Put us down, I want to get off." "Could it be that you want to see Danny?" Charlotte said. "I don't believe you." "Where is he?" "The hospital." "Then take us to the hospital. This is the suburbs. Don't try to lie to me." Sang Qingshin roared at Charlotte. Charlotte wrinkled his brows. "I'll tell you the truth. Your husband is actually a special agent. I'm his colleague. He's injured and those people wanted to capture you and your mother to threaten him. You have to come with me. Only then can you and Danny be safe." "He's a special agent?" Sang Qingshin looked at Charlotte suspiciously. She couldn't tell which part of this youth's words were true and which were false. "You can ask him yourself when you see him. In short, you have to believe me. I won't hurt you and your mother." Charlotte didn't want to say anything else. He had said so many lies about Danny that even he felt disgusted. Sang Qingshin finally calmed down. She quietly thought about something. Charlotte drove the car to White Deer Town and then passed through the town to enter the military factory's construction site. The construction company's workers were still working overtime to build the factory's infrastructure. The construction company's guards even greeted Charlotte. Seeing so many people, Sang Qingshin's heart finally calmed down. After all, there were so many people here. If Charlotte wanted to kidnap her and Sangyeye, he wouldn't bring them to a place with so many people. Charlotte also wouldn't hurt her and Sangyeye in front of so many people. Charlotte drove the car through the construction site and arrived in front of a wooden house. Next to the wooden house was a villa that was being built. There were also workers working overtime. This situation made Sang Qingshin feel more at ease. Charlotte unlocked the central lock and said, "Get out of the car. You'll stay here for the next 2 days." Sang Qingshin got out of the car and followed Charlotte to the makeshift house. She asked cautiously, "Where is this place?" Charlotte said, "This is a military factory. It hasn't been built yet." Hearing that it was a military factory, Sang Qingshin finally relaxed. "When can I see Danny?" Charlotte thought for a moment and said, "Tomorrow. I'll arrange for you to meet tomorrow." "Thank you. My attitude just now was not good. Please forgive me." Sang Qingshin apologized to Charlotte. Charlotte smiled. "It's fine, this is what I should do. I'll take you to your room to rest. It's so late and you must be tired carrying the child." "Sir, can you tell me your name?" "Yes, my name is Charlotte." Charlotte did not hide his identity. Sang Qingshin bowed to Charlotte. "Thank you, Mr. Xia. What a simple and kind woman." She wanted to see Danny and was proud of Danny's identity as an agent, but she did not know what she was about to face. Using such a simple and kind woman and a naive and cute child, regardless of whether it was for justice or not, Charlotte felt ashamed. Many times we have no choice but to do things that go against our hearts. After arranging for Sang Qingshin and her mother to stay in a makeshift house, Charlotte returned to the makeshift house that Anina was temporarily staying in. The two makeshift houses were only separated by a wall made of foam and iron, which made it easier for him to understand the situation of Sang Qingshin and her mother. Anina was sleeping soundly, and she did not notice that someone had entered her room. She had one leg exposed outside the blanket, and the makeshift house was filled with her refreshing fragrance. She was very good at using perfume, and the enchanting fragrance on her body could always arouse Charlotte's desire. White and tender legs, elegant and enchanting fragrance, these were all tempting factors, but Charlotte did not have any thoughts in that direction. His heart was still thinking of Sang Qingshin and Sangyeye, the pitiful mother and daughter. Charlotte walked to the bedside, pulled the blanket over a little, and covered Anina's legs. Anina suddenly woke up and looked at Charlotte with confused eyes. "Where did you go? I couldn't get through to your phone, I was so worried." Charlotte said, "It's okay, go to sleep." Anina burrowed into Charlotte's arms. "I can't sleep, I can see that guy with half his head missing as soon as I close my eyes." Charlotte gently hugged her and comforted her. "This kind of thing will not happen again in the future, go to sleep." Anina said in a soft voice, "Aren't you going to sleep? I'll call Long Bing and then go to sleep." Charlotte took out his phone, turned it off, and then dialed Long Bing's number. He had turned off his phone when he sneaked into the Gu family's Baisway garden. He had to turn off his phone to do that kind of thing, because if someone had called him or sent him a spam message at that time, he could have been exposed. Anina became restless and reached out to unbuckle Charlotte's belt. Charlotte wanted to hit her hand, but Long Bing's voice came from the phone, and he quickly retracted his hand. "What's the situation?" Long Bing asked. "Danny does have a woman and a daughter. His woman is called Sang Qingshin, the director of Angel Orphanage. His daughter is called Sangyeye, and she's 3 years old this year." Charlotte said, "Well done, I didn't think of this possibility, but not only did you think of it, you even found it." Long Bing was very happy. "Where are they?" "I brought them to the military factory's construction site. Keep an eye on them. I'm going to the army hospital to take Danny away now. I'll contact you immediately after I'm done with the arrangements, Long Bing said. Okay. Charlotte wanted to say goodbye, but because of Anina, the goodbye he wanted to say turned into a strange sound. It sounded like he suddenly had a stomachache. What's wrong? Long Bing asked with concern. Nothing, I'm hanging up. Charlotte didn't wait for Long Bing to say anything before he hurriedly hung up. Only then did he realize that his zipper had long been unzipped, and Anina, with her butt sticking up, was doing her best to please him. Anina's persuasion was just as strong as before, and she easily convinced his body to become her captive. He originally felt very guilty because he had used Sang Qingshin and Sang Yeye, but at this moment that feeling disappeared. You rascal, you were almost discovered by Long Bing. Charlotte was both angry and amused, and pretended to be angry as he slapped Anina's perky butt. With a crisp slap, a beautiful ripple spread out. Anina, however, turned around and faced Xia Lei with her perky butt. Her mouth couldn't speak, but this action seemed to be saying 100 teasing words to Charlotte. Charlotte was speechless. He smiled bitterly and reached out to take off the black lace. Passion had its ups and downs, and when everything calmed down, Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and the situation in the next room entered his vision. Sang Qingshin and Sang Yeye were already asleep. Their breathing was even, and there was even a little sound of snoring. After the scare, Sang Qingshin's body and mind were already exhausted. It's good that they're asleep. Otherwise, with such poor soundproofing in the makeshift room, if Sang Qingshin heard me and Anina here, that would be very embarrassing, Charlotte thought to himself. Anina had also fallen asleep. She was like a lamb that had eaten its fill of grass. She looked very well behaved. Charlotte lay down for a few minutes before getting out of bed. He put on his clothes and went to the toilet. There was no way to install a toilet or bathtub in a makeshift room like the makeshift room. The nearest toilet was a 30-meter walk, and he didn't want to go out naked. When he came out of the toilet, a few cars suddenly appeared outside the gates of the construction site. There was a Bugatti Veyron, and a few valiant-looking Toyota Prado off-road vehicles. There were more cars behind them, but they were two green pickup trucks with no license plates. Charlotte looked up and was shocked. The two green pickup trucks were carrying National Guards. 2 green pickup trucks, at least 50 people. The cars hadn't stopped yet, but Charlotte already knew that Gu Kuwu had come. He also knew what Gu Kuwan was here for. He turned and ran to the makeshift room. All the cars stopped at the gates of the construction site. The Bugatti Veyron's door opened and Gu Kuwu came out of the driver's seat, shouting, "It's here. Get off." Seeing this, the security guard of the construction company didn't dare to come forward and question him. He hid in the guardroom, not daring to let out a fart. Gu Kuwu's 2 bodyguards kicked open the door of the guardhouse and dragged the security guard out. "Where is Charlotte staying? Tell me." Gu Kuwu's face was full of anger. Who are you? What do you want?" The security guard mustered up his courage to ask. Gu Kuwu slapped the security guard in the face. "Where is Charlotte? Speak." The security guard covered his face and pointed at the makeshift room behind the construction site. Gu Kuwu waved his hand, and the men he had brought swarmed into the makeshift room. Inside the makeshift room, Charlotte kicked open the door to Sang Qingxian and Sang Yuewe's room and rushed in. Sang Qingxian was startled awake by the noise. She looked at Charlotte in horror. What are you doing?" Charlotte didn't say anything. He chopped Sang Qingxian's carotid artery with his palm. Sang Qingxian let out a muffled groan and fell softly onto the bed. Charlotte put Sang Qingxian on his shoulder, then carried the deeply asleep Sang Yuewe in his arms. He turned and walked out of the makeshift room. Anina was also startled awake by the noise. When Charlotte carried Sang Qingxian out of the makeshift room next door, she happened to walk out as well. She asked in surprise, "What happened? Charlotte said anxiously. "Come with me, quick!" Anina was stunned. "I'll go get my clothes and shoes." "Don't get them, quick!" Charlotte ran towards the forest behind the makeshift room. At this time, Anina also saw a large group of people coming this way from the construction site. She suddenly realized something and ran towards the forest behind the makeshift room in her slippers. Slippers, black lace, and a bra. Her escape was breathtakingly beautiful. Chapter 271. It wasn't strange at all that Gu Kawu could find his way to Whitestag. Those who made a deal with Gu Dingshan in the Centennial Garden were all powerful and influential people. Gu Dingshan and they were on the same side. What Gu Dingshan couldn't do could be easily done by them. Sang Qingxin and Sang Ye's disappearance was extremely strange to Gu Dingshan and Gu Kawu. After all, even Gu Kawu didn't know of Sang Qingxin's existence. However, it was very easy for Gu Dingshan and Gu Kawu to suspect Charlotte at such a critical juncture. That was also the reason why Gu Kawu was able to bring so many people to the construction site in such a short period of time. In the forest behind the construction site, Xia Lei climbed up the mountain with great difficulty. He carried Sang Qingxin and Sang Ye on his shoulders, carrying more than 50 kilograms of weight. With such a heavy load, it was difficult to even walk on flat ground, let alone climb a mountain. "Let me carry the child," said Anina as she caught up to Charlotte. Xia Lei handed Sang Ye over to Anina. His gaze fell on Anina's body, and he was surprised to find that her black lace dress had been scratched by the bushes, revealing something that should not be revealed. Anina seemed to have noticed where Charlotte was looking at and said awkwardly, "You told me not to take my clothes." She then closed her legs. She looked very shy and didn't look like she was running for her life at all. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "It's fine. Let's go." Anina followed Charlotte up the hill. She only had a pair of slippers on, which made the climb quite difficult. There were many bushes in the forest. Before long, the black lace dress on her body was torn, even more and more seductive parts were revealed. Her tender skin was also covered with several scratches and beads of blood seeped out. It was a heart-wrenching sight. Charlotte wasn't feeling much better. Carrying an adult woman on his back was even more tiring than training. After climbing up a few dozen meters, Xia Lei looked back at the construction site of the military factory and stopped. "Anina, you stay here and look after the mother and daughter. I'll go down and take a look." "You want to go down?" No, I want to be with you." Anina suddenly became nervous. With Charlotte by her side, she was not afraid of anything. However, once Charlotte left, she would have to face the entire pitch-black mountain forest alone. Just thinking about it made her feel terrified. Charlotte put Sang Qingxin down, then took off his jacket and put it on Anina. "Don't worry, I'll be back in half an hour." "Then, hurry up," Anina said eagerly. However, Xia Lei reached out and tugged at the jacket that he draped over Anina. "Your butt is exposed." Anina was embarrassed and squatted down, covering her butt. She knew that Charlotte wanted her to relax, but she still didn't want him to see her embarrassed side. Charlotte retraced his steps and slowly approached the construction site. At the construction site, the people brought by Gu Kawu had taken control of the entire construction site, and several prefab houses had been turned upside down. However, the person they were supposed to find was nowhere to be found. Charlotte was always one step ahead of them. This feeling made Gu Kawu want to go crazy. "Charlotte, get out of here!" In front of the prefab house, Gu Kawu roared loudly. His voice could be heard from afar. Charlotte didn't move. Hiding at the edge of the forest, he took out his phone and took a photo of Gu Kawu and the group of people standing beside him. There was a phone signal near the construction site, so he sent the photo to Long Bing. A bodyguard walked to Gu Kawu's side and said, "Young Master Wu, we've searched the construction site, but we didn't find that kid or the mother and daughter. What should we do?" "Trash. You're all a bunch of trash. Gu Kawu slapped him. The worsening situation made him completely lose control. The bodyguard who was slapped covered his face and didn't dare to make a sound. He didn't dare to let Gu Kawu see the resentment in his eyes. Why are you still standing there? Search the mountain! Gu Kawu roared. Search the mountain? This mountain area is so big. A bodyguard said worriedly, Young Master Wu, we… Shut up. Search. Gu Kawu took the lead and walked into the forest. Although he lost control of his emotions, he wasn't stupid. Charlotte's car was still at the construction site. The bed in the prefab house still had the lingering smell of Yu Wenwen's woman's perfume. If Charlotte hadn't hidden in the mountain, could he have flown away? A large group of bodyguards and the accompanying National Guard followed Gu Kawu up the mountain. No one was optimistic about this operation, but no one dared to persuade Gu Kawu to give up. Gu Kawu was now a barrel of dynamite that could explode at any time. Charlotte glanced at his phone. He had received a message. The message was sent by Long Bing. There were only 2 words in the message: hide well. This message gave Xiao Lei a signal. That was, no one would come to support him tonight. This kind of thing was hard to accept, but Charlotte quickly understood. At the moment, Long Bing was operating the transfer of Danny to another place and had no time to care about this. And Gu Dingshan's allies were making such a big move. They would definitely keep an eye on 101 innings. If 101 innings sent reinforcements, things might get out of hand and affect Long Bing's operation. Forget it. Even if 101 innings sends reinforcements, there won't be a fight. They will only fight with words. It's not good to beat the grass and alert the enemy. I'll play with Gu Kawu in the forest. Charlotte made up his mind. He left his hiding place and quickly climbed in the direction of Anina. Anina hid behind a tree trunk. She heard footsteps but couldn't see anyone. She said nervously, "Who is it?" Charlotte's voice came, "It's me." Anina immediately breathed a sigh of relief. She walked out of her hiding place. Charlotte picked up Sang Qingshin and put her on his shoulder. He said, "Take the child. We have to get out of here." "We still have to climb up?" Anina's legs were soft. Charlotte said, "They have begun to search the mountain. We have to hide on the mountain until dawn." "Well, I'm not afraid with you by my side." Anina picked up the sleeping Sangyaya and followed behind Charlotte. They climbed up the mountain 1 foot at a time. At the foot of the hill, torchlight beams were shooting here and there. Gu Kawu led his bodyguards and about 50 National Guards to search the mountain. Not long after, one of the bodyguards discovered something. He took a piece of black lace from a branch and said excitedly, "Young Master Wu, you're right. That kid and his woman are really hiding in the mountains. This is the woman's underwear fragment." Gu Kawu quickly walked over, grabbed the piece of lace fragment and sniffed it. "It really is the smell of that woman's perfume. Search, we must find that kid." A large group of people continued to search up. Soon, more traces were found. There were pieces of lace, obvious footprints, broken branches and so on. Charlotte couldn't avoid these traces because he had to climb up the mountain with Sang Qingshin on his shoulder. It was impossible for their weight to not leave footprints on the wet ground. These discoveries made Gu Kawu more and more excited. He seemed to see the hope of catching up with Charlotte. "As long as I catch that kid, I must kill him." This was an opportunity. Gu Kawu wasn't worried at all about how much trouble it would cause after killing Charlotte. He had enough means to get away with it. He could even say that Charlotte had a heart attack or fell off the cliff and died. At that time, he would have a large group of witnesses to testify. Who could do anything to him? The thought of killing Xiao Lei was like a shot of adrenaline. Gu Kawu climbed the mountain even faster in the forest. Charlotte was exhausted. When he climbed halfway up the mountain, he couldn't hold on anymore. After putting Sang Qingshin down, he sat down on the ground. Anina's situation wasn't much better. She also sat down on the grass. Her lace had been scratched to an unsightly degree. There were holes here and there, and it had almost lost its function. Fortunately, the coat that Charlotte gave her barely covered her body. However, as soon as she sat down, her seductive body directly collided with Charlotte's eyes. Charlotte felt really bad that he had to endure such stimulation at such a critical time. The flashlight at the foot of the mountain was still flickering, and the distance between them had shortened a lot. Damn, I didn't expect them to follow the traces we left. Charlotte frowned. It's hard to get rid of them with two burdens. Anina gasped. I saw soldiers. They won't do anything bad, will they? Maybe we don't have to run away so hard. We can talk to them. Charlotte smiled bitterly. You are too naive. Have you forgotten how your German compatriots treated you? They also work for the German government. Anina closed her mouth. She thought of the two German agents, her German compatriot. If it weren't for Charlotte, she wouldn't be breathing the air of freedom here at this moment. Instead, she would be tortured in Guantanamo Bay. No matter what country it was made up of people. No matter what faith, no matter how high the quality, it was inevitable that there would be bad people. Take the dozens of soldiers of the National Guard who were chasing her and Charlotte at this moment. They were all good, ordinary children, but the people who gave them orders were obviously not good people. Let's go. We can't rest anymore. Charlotte got up. Although he was tired, he still helped Sang Qingxin up and was about to carry her on his shoulder. Anina said, Why don't you wake her up? That way it will be easier for you. Charlotte shook his head. We can't wake her up. She will see those soldiers. She will think that we are bad people, and those people are her rescuers. If she calls for help or makes trouble for us, we will be in trouble. But Anina wanted to say something but stopped. She was full of worry. Charlotte said, We won't be caught. Trust me. Follow me. We will go in the direction where the ground is hard. In this way they will lose track of us and spend more time to judge our direction. Anina nodded and picked up Sangye. The child was really sleepy. Sangye didn't show any signs of waking up until now. Charlotte took Anina to the direction where the trees were sparse and the ground was rocky. It would be a long and difficult night, but as long as he got through it, he would welcome a bright future. Chapter 272. Night shrouded the forest. Every tree seemed to be a creature from the underworld, coldly watching the humans moving about in the forest. On one side were the fugitives, and on the other were the pursuers. In their eyes, it was nothing more than a meaningless game. Gukawu chased all the way into the second half of the night. At first, there were still traces to be found, but he soon lost track of them. He broke up the tracking team and divided them into 3 teams. One team headed directly towards the top of the mountain, moved to the left, and led the remaining team to the right. That was where Whitestag was at the foot of the mountain. Along the way, Gu Kawu went from excitement to disappointment and finally despair. He was as tired as a dog as he chased after Xia Lei all the way. He had exerted all his strength, but he couldn't even smell a fart from Xia Lei, let alone catch or kill him. To make matters worse, it started raining. Spring rain poured down from the sky. The treetops were like funnels that kept dripping water. The ground was quickly soaked and muddy. Given that there were no paths in the forest, the ground was slippery and one could easily fall flat on their back. The area that could have been searched in a few minutes before now took several times longer. One of the bodyguards fell to the ground, and his butt happened to hit a prismatic sharp stone. His expression suddenly became strange, as if he had just eaten a scalding hot glutinous ball with a fly as the filling. Damn it, what's the point of searching in this kind of weather? It'd be a miracle if we could find anything. A bodyguard grumbled. Quiet down. Don't let young Master Wu hear you. He's angry right now. Don't make him angry, another bodyguard whispered. Gu Kawu naturally heard his subordinates' discussion and grumbling. In fact, it wasn't just his subordinates who had lost hope. Even his own confidence had been shaken. Gu Kawu looked up at the raining sky with a savage expression. "Damn it, even you're helping that brat!" "Young Master Wu, a bodyguard asked carefully. "Keep searching," Gu Kawu roared. "Our Gu family has been taking care of you all this time. Now is the time for you to contribute. If anyone continues to grumble and refuse to work, I'll make him scram." The group of bodyguards shut their mouths and braced themselves to continue searching. This scene did not escape Charlotte's eyes. 500 meters away, Charlotte slid down from the crown of a large tree. "Where are they now?" Anina asked nervously. "It's still far away. Don't be nervous." Charlotte sat down and relaxed his body. A distance of 500 meters was a very safe distance. He could rest for a few minutes. Anina snuggled up to Charlotte. Her skin was cold, especially her long legs, which were exposed to the air and the rain, as if they had just been fished out of ice water. After all, this was the north. Although it was spring, the temperature was very cold. "I'll give you my pants." Charlotte touched Anina's thigh. That coldness worried him. "How can we do that? You've already given me your clothes. You're the most important person. You can't get sick." "Even if I get sick, I'll be fine," Anina said. Xiaolei's heart was filled with warmth. He pulled Anina into his arms and said, "Sit on my lap. It's warmer." Anina climbed onto Charlotte's body and sat on Charlotte's lap. She leaned tightly into Charlotte's arms. Charlotte's body was very warm, which made her feel much more comfortable. For the first 2 minutes everything was fine. But after 2 minutes something happened. "What is it?" Anina turned back to look at Charlotte. "What are you using to poke me?" "A branch?" Charlotte said awkwardly. "Don't think too much." "It's nothing," but Anina twisted her waist twice. Charlotte quickly held her down. "Stop fooling around. Take the time to rest." Anina reached over and grabbed the so-called branch. She pursed her lips and smiled. "I know what it is. I just want you to relax. You're too nervous." Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. After being teased by her, he did relax a lot. Women from different cultures did have different tastes. Only a Western woman like her could do such a thing so naturally. It would be very difficult for an Eastern woman to do it. Anina looked at Charlotte lovingly. Then she leaned over and kissed his lips. In this damned rainy forest, she also needed a little passion to warm her body and soul. At that moment, Sang Qingxin suddenly woke up. She slowly propped herself up. She saw Charlotte and Anina kissing beside her. Then she saw Sang Yeye beside her. Sang Qingxin suddenly recalled the scene when Charlotte kicked open the door of the makeshift house and knocked her out. Her heart suddenly tensed up. After hesitating for a moment, she picked up Sang Yeye and quietly climbed up, ready to slip away. A drop of rain suddenly fell from the top of the tree and hit Sang Yeye's forehead. The cold rain immediately woke her up. She opened her eyes. "Mommy, it's so dark." Sang Qingxin reached out to cover Sang Yeye's mouth, but it was too late. Sang Yeye's voice had been heard by someone who shouldn't have heard it. The foreign girl, who was immersed in the passionate kiss, climbed up from Charlotte's body. Without waiting for Charlotte to say anything, she blocked the mother and daughter's way. Only now did Sang Qingxin notice that the foreign girl in front of her was a very comical existence. She was wearing a man's coat, but there was only a tattered lace on her lower body, which could barely cover her body. She was still wearing a pair of slippers, which were full of mud. In short, she looked very sexy, but also very disheveled. It was an indescribable feeling of confusion. Such a foreign girl, coupled with the frightening memories of the forest, made Sang Qingxin's heart freeze. She was scared to death. What do you want to do?" Charlotte appeared very calm. "Don't be afraid. She's my friend. Her name is Xia Mei, the chief engineer of the military factory. You also saw what kind of a person she is now. This is all because I wanted to save you and your daughter." Save us? I remember clearly that you knocked me out. Sang Qingxin said angrily. Lower your voice. The people who are chasing us are in the forest. Charlotte climbed up from the ground and said sternly, I carried you and ran all night. I don't ask for anything in return. I just want you to believe me. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. But you must know the consequences if you fall into those people's hands. Not only will you and Yaya die, Danny won't have a good ending either. Sang Qingxin looked back at the flashlight in the distance. Her heart was in a dilemma. She didn't know whether to believe Charlotte or those people searching the forest. Miss Sang, think about it, Charlotte said. If I wanted to harm you and Yaya, how many chances did I have? Did I harm even a hair on your head? Sang Qingxin was silent and didn't say a word. Xia Mei and I are going to the town at the foot of the mountain, Charlotte said. You can either come with us or go find those people. Make your own decision. Anina looked at Charlotte in confusion. She and Charlotte had worked so hard to bring this woman here, but now Charlotte wanted to let them go. She really didn't understand why Charlotte would do this. How could Charlotte be willing to let Sang Qingxin and Sang Yaya go? He was only using this as a psychological tactic. The sun was about to rise. He had to bring Sang Qingxin and Sang Yaya into Whitestag town and find a car to meet up with Long Bing. He didn't want to carry an unconscious woman on the streets, so he had to gain Sang Qingxin's trust. But if he couldn't gain her trust and she decided to go find Gu Kawu and the others, he wouldn't hesitate to give her a slap and carry her away. Xia Mei, let's go. Charlotte really did leave. Anina shrugged and left with Charlotte. Wait! Sang Qingxin finally made up her mind. I'll go with you. Charlotte heaved a sigh of relief. Let me help you carry the child. No, I'll carry her. Sang Qingxin was still a little wary of Charlotte. Not having to carry Sang Qingxin on the way down the mountain made Charlotte feel much more relaxed. His speed was also much faster than before. When they got close to Whitestag, the three of them walked on a cement road. The sky was gradually brightening by then. When they passed by a farmer's house, Charlotte climbed over the wall and stole a pair of men's jeans and a woman's sweater from a drying pole under the roof. Although it was a pair of jeans worn by men, the owner of this pair of jeans was obviously not as tall as Anina, who was 1.85 meters tall. After she put it on, she was a lot shorter, and her butt was tight. It was very funny but also very attractive. Mom, Uncle is a thief, Sang Yaya pointed at Charlotte. Sang Qingxin hurriedly said, Don't spout nonsense. Uncle isn't a thief. He paid. Charlotte smiled. Little Yaya, I'll take you to see Dad today, all right? Sure. Sang Yaya was delighted. Charlotte said, But you have to be obedient. Don't cry or say anything. Got it? Yes. I'll remember. Sang Yaya looked serious and really shut her mouth. Charlotte brought Anina and Sang Qingxin into Whitestag. He called Long Bing as he walked. Have you settled it? Charlotte asked anxiously. It's settled. Are the mother and daughter still in your hands? Long Bing's voice was rather calm. Yes. Gu Kawu and his men chased me all night. We're in Whitestag now. Where are you? I'm already on my way here. Find a place to hide first. Give me half an hour, Long Bing said. All right, hurry up. This place isn't safe. Charlotte hung up. He looked around and saw a hotel, but he also saw two people he didn't want to see. They were Gu Kawu's two bodyguards. They were about 300 meters away from him and were looking around the streets as if they were searching for something. There was no way someone as smart as Gu Kawu wouldn't leave his men in the town. Fortunately, the morning after the rain was shrouded in mist. Otherwise, the two bodyguards would have noticed him already. Follow me. Xia Lei turned and walked into an alley on the side of the street, then took a detour to the only hotel in town. Chapter 273. Charlotte got a room in the inn and brought Anina and Sang Qingxin inside. Anina and Sang Qingshin rested in the room, while Charlotte observed the situation outside the inn from the window. A few minutes later, Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards entered his line of sight. The 2 bodyguards asked the passers-by on the street. Through lip reading, he discovered that the 2 bodyguards were describing his appearance and Sang Qingshin and Sang Ye's characteristics. They also asked the passers-by if they saw them. After asking a few passers-by, the 2 bodyguards walked towards the inn. Charlotte cursed inwardly. If these 2 bodyguards entered the hotel and asked the hotel owner about his appearance and Sang Qingshin and Sang Ye's characteristics, Gu Kawu would soon arrive with a large group of people. "Stay here and don't open the door for anyone," said Charlotte. "Where are you going?" asked Anina nervously. "I'm going to lure those 2 away. Take care of the mother and daughter." Charlotte didn't explain and jumped down from the window. The room was on the 2nd floor and there was an alleyway below. After landing, Charlotte ran to the entrance of the alleyway. It was then that Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards arrived at the inn from the other side of the street. Charlotte didn't look at them and calmly walked out of the alleyway towards a small restaurant that sold breakfast. Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards quickly noticed Charlotte. They were very surprised that the person they had been tracking for an entire night had suddenly appeared in front of them. Not only that, he was even swaggering about. They clearly didn't know what was going on. "Young Master Wu," one of the bodyguards said into a walkie-talkie, "Whitestag, we found Charlotte. She's here." The bodyguard's voice and hands were trembling in excitement. Gu Kawu's voice quickly came from the walkie-talkie. "Don't alarm him. We're coming right away." "Got it." The bodyguard put down the walkie-talkie and followed behind Charlotte with his companion. Charlotte entered the restaurant and ordered a bowl of soy milk, 2 youtiao, and a basket of soup dumplings. After a tiring night, he was famished. After the boss brought his breakfast up, he began to eat by himself. Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards continued to monitor Charlotte at a convenience store opposite the breakfast shop, buying cigarette. Charlotte pretended not to notice and continued eating his breakfast. Without waiting for Charlotte to finish his breakfast, Gu Kawu rushed over with a large group of people and surrounded the breakfast shop. Charlotte looked up at Gu Kawu, who was standing in front of him, and grinned. "So it's Mr. Gu. What brings a noble like you to such a remote place? Have you had breakfast yet? Let's eat together, it's my treat. Boss, give me a bowl of soy milk and 2 fried dough sticks." The owner of the breakfast shop had already been dragged out by Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards. "Breakfast my ass." There were also diners. The diners had all been driven away. Under such circumstances, who would have the guts to eat breakfast here in the face of dozens of armed National Guards? Where is he? Charlotte looked left and right as if he was slow to react. "Stop pretending. Charlotte, where is he?" Gu Kawu looked at Charlotte coldly. "Are you looking for someone?" Charlotte also looked straight at Gu Kawu. "Who are you looking for?" Gu Kawu slapped the dishes on the table to the ground and said angrily, "Don't play dumb with me. I'm talking about Sang Qingshin and her child." "Sang Qingshin? Her child?" Charlotte smiled. "I don't know what you're talking about. I came from the construction site to eat breakfast. I didn't offend you, did I? You dropped my breakfast on the floor, so you have to compensate me." Gu Kawu slapped Charlotte in the face. Xia Lei raised his hand and grabbed Gu Kawu's wrist. With a forceful tug, he pressed Gu Kawu onto the dining table. Dozens of National Guard soldiers raised their guns and aimed at Xia Lei. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Charlotte slowly loosened his hand, then raised his hand and said with a smile, "What are you doing? I'm not a criminal. Why are you pointing your guns at me?" Gu Kawu took the opportunity to get up and suddenly slapped Charlotte's face. But, with a crisp sound, a few finger marks appeared on Charlotte's face. Gu Kawu grabbed the collar of Xia Lei's shirt and sneered, "Xia Lei, I don't think you've figured out the situation yet. Do you think you'll be fine if you hide the mother and daughter? I'm telling you, don't even think about it. Tell me, where are they?" Charlotte looked calm. I really don't know what you're talking about. It's the first time I've heard the name Sang Qingshin. Who is Sang Qingshin? Gu Kawu loosened Charlotte's collar and looked at Charlotte coldly. This is your last breakfast. I'm sorry that I didn't let you eat your fill. It was a hint. Gu Kawu's 2 bodyguards followed and held Charlotte's arms. One of them even took out a pair of handcuffs and was about to put them on Charlotte. Gu Kawu's hint was obviously to take Charlotte's life, but he wouldn't shoot Charlotte in public for no reason. He would take Charlotte to a remote place and then kill Charlotte. At this moment, 2 Buick MPVs sped over and stopped on the street in front of the breakfast shop. The door opened and Long Bing was the first to get out. Without saying anything, she raised her hand and fired a shot into the sky. Behind Long Bing, 10 agents in black suits also got out of the car with rifles in their hand. Put the guns down! Long Bing roared. Dozens of National Guards with guns looked at each other and didn't know how to deal with it. After all, they were only conscripts who had served in the military for 2 years. Whether it was their mentality or combat experience, they couldn't compare to professional agents who had been through hundreds of battles. Faced with such a situation, they were also afraid. One of the leaders of the National Guards glanced at Gu Kawu and seemed to be observing Gu Kawu's reaction. Gu Kawu's face was extremely gloomy. Bang! Long Bing fired another shot into the sky. Didn't you hear it? Put the guns down! The second gunshot broke down the psychological defense of many of the National Guard. Some of the soldiers put down their guns. However, without an order from their commanding officer, they didn't dare to put their guns on the ground. What are you afraid of? Gu Kawu bit the bullet and shouted, We have more people. Long Bing sneered. Gu Kawu, are you trying to scare me with a gun without bullets? Not to mention that they don't have bullets in their guns. Even if they did, they wouldn't dare to fire a shot. Gu Kawu was stunned on the spot. Long Bing said that these National Guards didn't have bullets in their guns, but that wasn't entirely true. When the National Guard surrounded the breakfast shop, Charlotte had used X-ray vision on their guns. The conclusion he got was that the guns of the ordinary soldiers were indeed empty, but the guns of the leader and his deputy were loaded. This was also the reason why he had to raise his hand and was slapped by Gu Kawu. China had the strictest gun control system in the world. When soldiers carried out missions, most of the time they fired guns without bullet. There were situations where guns and bullets were fired, but it required many layers of approval, which was very troublesome. As a senior agent of 101 innings, how could Long Bing not understand these situations? It was also because of this understanding that she didn't take these dozens of National Guards seriously at all. Long Bing walked up to Gu Kawu and said coldly, Gu Kawu, your people have guns, right? Ask them to take them out and we'll fight. Gu Kawu's forehead began to break out in a cold sweat. His men did have guns and bullets, but he wouldn't dare to go against a Secret Service agent even if he had eaten a leopard's gall. Long Bing said to the leading officer, What are you still standing here for? Do you want to be investigated? I'll only give you one chance, and I'll only give you 1 minute. The leading officer was stunned for a moment, and then gave the order, Retreat. Dozens of National Guards quickly retreated from the breakfast shop and ran away. Only the special agents brought by Long Bing, Gu Kawu, and his bodyguards were left in the breakfast shop. In terms of numbers, Gu Kawu actually had a few more people. Let's go. Gu Kawu also gave up. However, before Gu Kawu and his bodyguards reached the door, 10 special agents aimed their guns at them. Gu Kawu sneered. What? You want to arrest me? You're not qualified. Hee hee. Long Bing laughed. Gu Kawu, I really don't know what you're thinking. Do you think you're a prince? Or do you think you're immune to the laws of the country? I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Get your people out of the way. Gu Kawu was still very arrogant. Long Bing said coldly, Don't even think about going there. Take out your guns and put them on the ground. Now. The dozen or so bodyguards looked at Gu Kawu at the same time. In fact, they were already starting to feel afraid. "Do you know who you're talking to? You bastard!" Gu Kawu was actually starting to feel afraid, but at this time, he had to pretend to be tough. Bang! As soon as Gu Kawu's voice fell, Long Bing raised her hand and shot a bodyguard in the thigh. Ah! The bodyguard who was shot fell to the ground, holding his thigh. "Your people have guns, but they don't even dare to take them out. I have a gun, I'll shoot if I want to, I'll hit if I want to." This was Long Bing's tyranny. Gu Kawu's dozen or so bodyguards could no longer hold it in. They all took out their guns and placed them on the ground. Then, they covered their heads with their hands and obediently lay on the ground. To them, the money given by the Gu family was considerable, but no matter how much money it was not worth it compared to their own lives. Gu Kawu was the only one who did not disarm or lie down. However, he did not manage to maintain his standing posture. Xia Lei, who was standing behind him, kicked him in the back of the leg. Gu Kawu immediately lost his balance and knelt on the ground. Charlotte pressed down on Gu Kawu's neck, took out a pistol from his body, and threw it on the ground. Gu Kawu turned his head and glared at Charlotte. Charlotte was also very straightforward. With a slap, his head returned to its original position. "My father won't let you go," Gu Kawu shouted. "Your father?" Long Bing sneered. "It's not like you don't know what kind of situation he is in right now. He can't even protect himself, so how can he protect you?" Then she added, "Take him away." Only then did Charlotte completely relax. He said with some dissatisfaction, "You should have come last night and you're late today. Do you know how dangerous it is for me to face these guys alone?" Long Bing lightly said, "Treat me to a bowl of dumplings. I haven't eaten breakfast yet." Charlotte. Chapter 274. Life is like a dream. This was not a line, but a truth. More than 30 years ago, Gu Dingshan was a gangster on the street. With the reform and opening up, he seized the opportunity and climbed up step by step, finally establishing the Northern Group, a business empire that belonged to him. Unlike the Shen Tu family clan, his history was a dark one. Along the way, every step was stained with blood and sin. Now, holding a crystal glass of Lafite red wine, standing in an office that was wider than a basketball court, recalling the past. How could this not be a dream? However, it was time to wake up from this dream. Antique, this is today's newspaper. A young and beautiful female secretary walked into the office. She was holding a thick stack of newspapers in her hand. The first newspaper was the National Daily. Gu Dingshan said lightly, "Put it there." "Antique, it's best not to drink in the morning," the female secretary gently reminded him. Gu Dingshan smiled. "I know. You can go." The female secretary did not leave. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "Antique, today's newspaper." Gu Dingshan frowned. "What's wrong with today's newspaper?" The female secretary said, "Antique, you should take a look yourself." Gu Dingshan walked to his desk and picked up the copy of the National Daily. The headline on the front page was about how he bought a state-owned mine worth several billion yuan with just 10 million yuan. This deal also involved the local people's compensation dispute. He did not give the villagers reasonable compensation, so the villagers were dissatisfied. He sent people to suppress the villagers. One of the villagers who was the leader of the group was severely injured and died. Damn. Who is this Huang who wrote the article? Gu Dingshan threw the crystal glass in his hand to the ground and said angrily, "Doesn't he know who I, Gu Dingshan, am? Or is he tired of living?" The female secretary shuddered and did not dare to speak. Gu Dingshan's eyes then moved to another newspaper, which was the Financial Daily. The headline of this newspaper was that Gu Dingshan was suspected of violating the rules of several stocks. The amount involved was 3 billion. The next few newspapers were the same. The headlines on the front page of each newspaper were exposing Gu Dingshan and the North Group's violations of the law and discipline. What's going on? Gu Dingshan was going crazy. What's going on? The female secretary did not dare to look at Gu Dingshan. Every time Gu Dingshan became angry, she felt afraid. Gu Dingshan swept all the newspapers to the ground and sneered. These guys probably took money from that kid, didn't they? Charlotte, Charlotte, you're too King naive. Do you think you can overthrow everything I've built just by spending some money and letting the newspapers write a few articles? You're King dreaming. Do, the phone on the desk suddenly rang. Gu Dingshan seized the topic and roared, "Who? If you have something to say, just say it." A man's voice came through the microphone, "Old Gu, it's me." Gu Dingshan was stunned for a moment, then he said, "Old Xiao, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. I just ran into some trouble." "I know, I understand, it's okay. I'm calling to tell you that things are screwed up. The people over there have captured your son. You should quickly go and hide." Gu Dingshan's body swayed, and his face was as white as a sheet of paper, devoid of any color. "I'm sorry, I can't help you this time. You shouldn't have sent that killer to assassinate Charlotte. He has now become a witness over there." "Impossible. Danny will not betray me," Gu Dingshan said excitedly. "Old Xiao, you must help me this time. We are in the same boat. Don't forget how much you've taken from me." "Humph." A cold voice came through the phone. "Gu Dingshan, are you threatening me?" Gu Dingshan wanted to say yes, but he didn't have the courage to say it. He knew the identity of the other side, and he also knew the other side's means. "Gu Dingshan, if I didn't want to help you, I wouldn't have called you to run away. You are a smart man. If you go abroad now, you will still be rich for the rest of your life. If you don't want to give up your assets in the country, you may even lose your life." The other side's voice was very strict and couldn't be resisted. "But Kawu is still in their hands. If I leave, what will happen to him?" "Don't worry, I will take care of him. He will only live for 2 or 3 years at most. You are the legal representative of the Northern Group, so he doesn't need to be responsible for what you do." "Okay, I'll go right away." Gu Dingshan made the decision. "Don't tell anyone about your whereabouts. Remember this. I'll arrange someone to pick you up." "Okay, I'll get ready." Gu Dingshan hung up the phone. The female secretary tentatively said, "Old Gu, do you want to go out? I'll arrange a car." "No need," said Gu Dingshan. "Call the CFO immediately." "Okay, I'll go right away." The female secretary turned and left Gu Dingshan's office. After the female secretary left the office, Gu Dingshan's body went soft, and he slumped down on the sofa. He had single-handedly established the Northern Group and was famous throughout Asia. He had even dreamed of entering the world of politics after clearing his assets and identity and striving for greater height. Yet, the empire he had painstakingly built up had crumbled that very morning. Someone as famous as him had actually fallen to the point where he had to flee. It was all like a dream. It didn't seem real at all. "Charlotte!" Gu Dingshan suddenly roared. His hatred had reached its peak. At the same time, in Whitestag, Anina brought Sang Qingxin and Sang Yeye out of the inn. Even though it was the first time Long Bing had seen Sang Qingxin and Sang Yeye, she knew that they were the ones she was looking for. They were the key figures in bringing Danny to his knees. She then shifted her gaze to Anina and furrowed her brow. "What's with her jeans?" It was rather comical for a blonde beauty to wear a pair of men's jeans that were so short that her butt was twisted out of shape by the fabric. Charlotte said embarrassedly, "We were in a hurry when we ran away. She didn't have time to take her clothes." "You two really know how to have fun," Long Bing said plainly, "but it's fine if you're just fooling around. There's nothing between you two." Charlotte was speechless. Sang Qingxin carried Sang Yeye over. "Mr. Xia, when can I see my husband?" Charlotte said, "You'll see him soon. This is Miss Long. She'll arrange everything. Get in." "I'll take you to your husband," Long Bing said. A few minutes later, 2 Buicks arrived at the town's police station. Long Bing didn't let Sang Qingxin and Sang Yeye get out of the car. Instead, she brought Charlotte into the police station. In front of the office, 2 policemen, one old and one young, greeted Long Bing and Charlotte with a smile. Charlotte also responded with a smile. In addition to these 2 policemen, there were also several agents in black suits standing in the hall of the police station. It wasn't hard to guess that Long Bing and her people had acted separately. She had brought people to support him, while the other team had brought Danny here. It was quite suitable for Sang Qingxin and Danny to meet here because Sang Qingxin trusted the police. "Does Danny know that he's going to meet Sang Qingxin?" Charlotte asked as they walked to an interrogation room. Long Bing nodded. "I mentioned it to him on the way here, but he didn't believe me." Charlotte said, "He's very cunning and suspicious. In this case, he probably thinks that we're deceiving him. But Sang Qingxin and Sang Yeye are here. It won't be difficult for us to gain his trust." Long Bing said, "But I'm still a little worried. If we can't convince him to be our witness, we can only make Gu Dingshan bleed this time. We can't take his life." "Leave it to me. I'll convince him," said Charlotte. Long Bing pushed open the door of the interrogation room. There was a mobile bed in the interrogation room. Danny was quietly lying on the bed, expressionlessly looking at Charlotte and Long Bing. However, he was just pretending to be calm. His eyes were full of worry and anxiety. He knew who he was going to meet, and he couldn't keep a calm heart. Charlotte said with a smile, "Danny, we meet again?" Danny just snorted coldly. Charlotte said, "Fine, I know you hate me. I don't mind, and I'm still willing to help you. Don't pretend. I'll feel disgusted. If you have something to say, just say it," Danny said coldly. Charlotte said, "Sang Qingxin and Sang Ye are outside. I can let your family reunite at any time." Danny's lips moved, but he didn't say anything. Charlotte said, "You can pretend that you're not tempted. I don't care. I'll just say it. Fortunately, I went early last night. Otherwise, the mother and son would have fallen into Gu Kawu's hands. Gu Kawu and dozens of people chased us all night, and we only managed to get out this morning. I think you must know what will happen to the mother and son if they fall into Gu Dingshan's hands, right?" "He will take care of them," said Danny. Charlotte sneered. "Bringing dozens of people with guns? Is he protecting them? You've followed Gu Dingshan for 20 years. You should know what kind of person he is, right?" Danny shut his mouth again. At this point, Danny still looked like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. Charlotte was a bit angry. "Tell me, what do you want to be our witness?" "Help me tell them that I'm sorry," Danny said. "As for being your witness, don't mention it again. It won't happen." "You!" Charlotte was angry on the spot. He really wanted to slap Danny. Not for anything else, but because he was sorry to Sang Qingxin, such a kind and simple woman. Long Bing, who had been silent all this time, said, "Danny, I just caught Gu Kawu. You don't know about this." Danny was stunned for a moment, and his eyes flickered. "If you're not a witness, it's useless for me to catch him," Long Bing said lightly. "Are you sure you don't want to cooperate? If you're sure, I'll release Gu Kawu and a large group of his men with guns. Of course, I think you don't want to see your wife and children. I'll release them along with Gu Kawu." Danny's mouth suddenly opened, but then slowly closed. Chapter 275. Charlotte shrugged his shoulders as if he didn't care. He actually knew why Long Bing said this at this time. She wanted Danny to keep his mouth shut and not ask for too much. At this time, he suddenly thought of Liang Xiao. If Liang Xiao wasn't a senior intelligence officer in the CIA, they would have been talking about marriage by now. Then, they would have a cute child, right? Just like Sangya. Charlotte looked away. He didn't have the heart to disturb this family reunion. There's one more thing. Let's have a good chat after we're done. I'm going to report to Boss Sure. You keep an eye on Danny, Longbing said. Charlotte nodded. I understand. There's a group of tigers in the mountains. If you want to kill all of them at once, the tigers will group up and attack you. If you only kill one, this situation won't happen. Charlotte was shocked. Danny's mouth twitched slightly. He had obviously seen this movie before. He believed that Long Bing didn't want to hurt him, but he knew Long Bing's character very well. She was an extremely patriotic soldier. No matter who it was, as long as they did something harmful, she wouldn't let them go. If she knew the secret of the AE capsule and found out the identity of his father, Xia Changhe, he didn't dare to think further. He didn't know how he could face Long Bing and Sure Boren if things developed to this point. Charlotte shook his head. If someone like you can cry, it means you're still human. Get ready. I'll let them in. Anina's voice interrupted Charlotte's thoughts. He said in German, Anina, it's fine if you know about this. Don't reveal anything in front of Long Bing. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah, what are you doing? Danny asked. Danny just watched the two of them act. He didn't even bother to speak. What is she doing now? I wonder if Master is used to living in the United States. Charlotte had thought about these questions more than once. Every time he thought about it, his heart ached faintly. Danny was silent for a moment. 50 million. Charlotte, don't worry. The money you spent is definitely worth it. I grew up with Charlotte and I know all of his secret. I also have a lot of materials that you can't get your hands on. They are all very important evidence. Danny looked straight at Charlotte. Promise me, I beg you. Okay, go ahead. Charlotte said. Danny said, I'm not crazy. Qing Xin has a wish, which is to build a spacious and bright orphanage with a library, a computer lab, and a playground for children to play in. I want to fulfill her wish. Long Bing and Charlotte left the interrogation room. Under Long Bing's instruction, Sang Qingxin and Sang Ye entered the interrogation room. Suddenly, the interrogation room was filled with some crying and laughter, as well as a childish voice that kept calling for Daddy. Just now, I heard Long Bing talking on the phone in the bathroom. She was at the door, and I was inside, but I could hear her voice. At this time, Long Bing walked in, followed by a group of agents. Charlotte smiled. Give me a price. I know you're fighting for this. You're sorry for the mother and daughter. If you want them to live a better life, I can satisfy you. What's the matter? Charlotte was a little curious. Danny smiled, and so did Sang Qingxin. Long Bing rolled her eyes at Charlotte. If Gu Dingshan knew that you used the money you won from him to bribe Danny, he would definitely be mad at you. She said that you're abnormal and very special. You should, Long Bing couldn't help but curse. Are you crazy? Sang Qingxin and Sang Ye won't be able to use up that much money in their lifetime. Charlotte gently held her hand, which felt very cold. He said softly, We'll go back in a moment, take a hot shower and change into clean clothes. Lucas, are you listening to me? The heat invaded Charlotte's nerves, suddenly became sensitive. Anina shook her head. Sorry, my Chinese is really bad. I didn't understand. But I feel that she seems to be suspicious of you. You should be careful, so I came to tell you about it. Anina smiled. I'm the same as you. I just want to live the life I like. I don't care about anything else. Then, lying on Charlotte's thigh, she blew at a certain spot. How much longer will it take, Lucas? I want to go back and take a shower. Charlotte couldn't help but imagine the image of Gu Dingshan coughing up blood while clutching his chest. He couldn't help but laugh. Danny's mouth showed a trace of a smile, but the corners of her eyes were quietly moist. You take them away. I don't have the face to see them. Charlotte pressed down Long Bing's hand. Let me talk to him. Charlotte also cursed in his heart. Damn, you want me to give you 50 million just to satisfy your woman's wish? Do you really think I'm a fool? Charlotte smiled bitterly. It's a bit much, but as long as I can bring down Gu Dingshan and Gu Kuwu, well, and Gu Qin, let alone 50 million, I'll even give 200 million. Anyway, this money is won from playing cards, and it's from Gu Dingshan, so I don't feel bad spending it. Should what? You don't need to get involved in the next thing, and… Long Bing was silent for a moment before she said, I reached a consensus with Mr. Shi. That is, this time we will only fight Gu Dingshan, and no one else will be involved. Do you understand what I mean? Charlotte smiled and said in German, So that's what it is. She is reporting the situation to Mr. Shi. I know. This can't go on. The CIA wants to catch me. If they know my secret in 101 innings, will there still be a place for me in this world? Charlotte secretly thought. Charlotte continued, In that movie, Jet Li was raised like a dog. As long as you give him a little food, he will kill his master. Gu Dingshan has never treated you as his adopted son. Why do you treat him as your adopted father? I think you followed Gu Dingshan for 20 years. He didn't give you much money, did he? Otherwise, your woman and children wouldn't live in that kind of place. I've been to the Angel Orphanage. The environment there is terrible. If you had money, I think you would certainly help those orphans, wouldn't you? You're right, but so what? Danny said. Long Bing stared at Charlotte and said angrily, Look at your attitude. You pay. Do you think you know me very well? Long Bing picked up the walkie-talkie, ready to scare Danny. Do you want your woman and children to die? Charlotte said coldly. If that was the case, then he overestimated the humanity of people like Danny. Perhaps he didn't have humanity at all. He was just a beast. The two of them looked at each other, but it was only a brief touch, and then they both looked away. Danny's tears rolled down. I'm not afraid of the cold. Anina's voice was small. I came to tell you something. What do you want to talk to me about? But she mentioned you, Anina said. Dad, Mom said it won't hurt after a breath. I'll blow a lot of air for you. You'll be fine soon, Sangyea said innocently. Xia Lei sighed. Since ancient times, few heroes have lived long lives. I don't want to be a hero. I just want to live the life I like. Xia Lei slightly knitted his eyebrows. Long Bing had always given him the impression that Lei Ling and Feng Xing were straightforward people, but this time, she didn't seem to be straightforward at all. He had a vague suspicion in his heart. What did she want to talk to him about? Charlotte said, Well, okay. Call me if you need anything. Charlotte and Long Bing couldn't help but look at each other. Indeed, from his and Long Bing's point of view, he and Long Bing couldn't deliberately kill Sang Qingxin and Sang Yi. The cunning Danny was not afraid of such a threat at all. Charlotte said, No, they don't know what you do. I told them that you are a secret agent and you work for the government. This identity will make them proud. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Well, 50 million, right? I'll give it to your woman. Charlotte said, Danny, I don't know if you have seen the movie Danny Wolfdog played by Jet Li. I understand. I just feel unfair for you. You've contributed so much to this country. You have the most advanced machine tools in the world and the military factory that's about to be built. You should be a hero, not a suspect. Anina felt that Xia Lei's experience was unfair. Charlotte and Long Bing couldn't help but look at each other again. No, I'm not that kind of person. They are the only people I cherish in this world. Danny said, But I don't believe that you would do that. Charlotte, you're not a bad person. Miss Long, you're not a bad person either. You can't do such a despicable thing. Long Bing left the corridor. Charlotte's line of sight also moved to the direction of the interrogation room. Long Bing and Charlotte sat on the bench in the corridor. Long Bing looked at Charlotte and said, 50 million, you agreed just like that? Charlotte's heart suddenly surged with a complex feeling. You'll know when the time comes. Anina sat on the bench and then lay on Charlotte's knees. Lucas, although Anina didn't understand the most important part, she also sent him a signal. He was most worried that the secret of him taking the AE capsule would be leaked, and Long Bing's suspicion was directed in this direction. Lei, I'm going to take Danny and the mother and daughter away. If there's anything, contact me by phone. Long Bing said. In the interrogation room, Sang Qingxin held Danny's hand and didn't want to let go. Sang Ye sat on Danny's pillow, holding Danny's face with a pair of small hands, and kept blowing air into Danny's eyes. The sound of footsteps came. Charlotte put away his thoughts, looked up and saw Anina coming from the corridor. She was still wearing the dirty slippers, the funny man's jeans and his coat. She looked like a European tramp, very embarrassed but also super sexy. Even the two 101 innings agents who were guarding the corridor entrance couldn't help but stare at her buttocks. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. What did she say? Chapter 276. In the dark of the night, a Hummer SUV was heading north from the direction of the capital. The wheels of the carriage squeaked as they rolled through the mud. There was no sign of human habitation in the wilderness. The car continued to move forward, as if it was looking for the darkest and most remote place. The bumpy road woke Gu Dingshan up from his nap. He remembered that the car was heading in the direction of Mongolia, which was the first stop on his escape route. But now, he found that he was driving on a deserted road. The darkness in front of him made him nervous. Where are we going? Boss Gu, there was a police car on the main road. We have to avoid it, the driver said. What about old Chiu? When will he come? Gu Dingshan asked. He didn't know why, but he felt uneasy. Boss Gu, he will come. Don't worry, the driver said. The car continued to move forward. The bright headlights illuminated the space. In front of them was a low hill and a reservoir. Gu Dingshan suddenly realized something. He pulled out his gun and pointed it at the driver's head. Damn, stop the car. The driver stopped the car, but he wasn't nervous. Boss Gu, what are you doing? Gu Dingshan said coldly. When I did this, you were still drinking milk in your mother's arms. You want to kill me? Do you believe that I will kill you right now? The driver said lightly, I believe you. Get out of the car. Get out. Gu Dingshan poked the driver's head with the muzzle. Go back and tell old Chiu that if I die, he won't be able to live in peace. My boss is afraid that things won't be peaceful, the driver said. Gu Dingshan was stunned for a moment. He seemed to realize something. At this moment, the window suddenly exploded. A bullet flew from the side and instantly pierced Gu Dingshan's head. Blood splattered. Gu Dingshan didn't even have time to scream before he fell on the sofa in the back. He went from a street thug to a billionaire with a net worth of tens of billions, and then to a corpse. The whole process took 30 years. It was a long and tortuous process. It was even full of legendary colors. But in the eyes of the living, it seemed like it only took a second. It was meaningless. The driver looked back at Gu Dingshan, then opened the door and got out. A man with a sniper rifle walked out from the woods on the side of the road. Together with the driver, they dragged Gu Dingshan's body towards the reservoir. When Gu Dingshan was alive, he was insufferably arrogant, but now he was no different from a dead dog. While Gu Dingshan was being dragged to his final destination, Charlotte, Anina, and Xia Shui were feasting at Jingdo's most famous Chuanda roast duck. I really didn't expect China's chef to be able to make duck so delicious. Anina looked very happy. I like China more and more. Xia Shui pursed her lips and looked at Anina with a smile. Sister Xia Mei, do you like our China because of the roast duck? Is that all? Anina stole a glance at Charlotte. She obviously didn't like China because of the roast duck, but she was talking about something else. What was the last sentence? Gold? Ear doctor? I only know of doctors in the ENT department. Xia Shui. Everything about this foreign sister-in-law was good, but her communication was not smooth. Charlotte said, Little Shui, I will go back to Haizhu in 2 days. You study well and take care of yourself. What time is your flight? I will send you. Xia Shui said. Xia Lei said, there's no need. Read your book. Xia Shui was dissatisfied and pursed her lips, but she didn't insist. Lei, when will you come back? Anina looked at Charlotte. When there were people, she would call Charlotte by his nickname. When there were no people, she preferred to call Charlotte by his other name, Lucas. I'm not sure, but it is estimated that I will stay for a few days. There is only Guan Lingshan in the company. She can't make a decision on many things. In addition, I also have to go to Sichuan to see how the branch there is going. Charlotte said. Although the Gu family's matter was not settled, it was almost done. After solving the trouble of the Gu family, he could finally focus on his career. Lima Manufacturing Company in Haizhu, the branch in Deyang in Sichuan, and the military factory in Bailu in the capital. These 3 companies were like 3 colts, and he wanted to make these 3 colts into warhorses. This required energy and time. Ring 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 ring. Brother, did Sister Bing call you? Xia Shui asked. I don't know. Charlotte took out his cell phone and glanced at it, but it was an unfamiliar number. Warhorses don't answer the phone? Xia Shui asked curiously. Charlotte slid the answer button, and then he heard a voice coming from the phone. Xia, what did you do to my dad? The voice on the phone was Gu Qian's voice, full of resentment. Charlotte frowned slightly. Miss Gu, I think you are mistaken. Your dad is such a big man. What does it have to do with me where he goes? It must be you who hurt him. I know it must be you. Gu Qian's emotions were somewhat out of control. Ridiculous. Charlotte, I won't let you get away with this. I won't let you get away with this. You're crazy. Charlotte hung up. Brother, did Gu Qian call you? Xia Shui asked worriedly. Xia Lei nodded. He was originally in a good mood, but when Gu Qian called, he didn't even have the mood to eat roast duck anymore. Judging from Gu Qian's tone, Gu Dingshan seemed to have gone missing. What's going on? Charlotte wanted to give Long Bing a call, but he suddenly recalled what Long Bing told him at the police station that day. He dismissed the thought and thought, Long Bing told me not to get involved in this matter because she doesn't want me to provoke those tigers and get into trouble. Given her capabilities, how could she not know that Gu Dingshan has escaped? I don't have to worry about this at all. All I need to do is guard against the remaining shareholders. Gu Dingshan was missing and Gu Kuwu was captured. The Gu family only had Gu Qian and a woman left, so Charlotte wasn't too worried about that. Charlotte was silent, but Xia Shui said angrily, What else does that woman want? Hasn't she caused enough trouble for us? If I see her, I'll definitely give her a slap. Anina smiled. Little Shui, you're amazing. Of course. I've recently learned grappling and sanda from Sister Bing. I'm not afraid of her. Xia Shui shook her fist. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. Xiao Shui, apart from grappling and sanda, what else did Long Bing teach you? A lot. Shooting, driving, makeup, shorthand. Xia Shui said a lot in one breath. Charlotte's eyebrows wrinkled. How is Long Bing teaching Xia Shui self-defense skills? She simply wants to train her into a secret agent. Don't learn these things from her in the future. Study hard. Do you hear me? Charlotte said with a serious expression. Xia Shui pouted. Why? Brother, I like to learn those skills. You've been protecting me since I was a child. If I learn those skills, no one will dare to bully me. I can protect myself. Charlotte put on a straight face. If I say no, then no. Xia Shui said, Brother, I'm already an adult. I have the right to decide what I want to learn and what I want to do. You can't take care of me for a lifetime. Also, I'm not a child anymore. Please don't look at me as if I'm a child. Charlotte was stunned, and his heart inexplicably ached. Since she was a child, Xia Shui had always been a good girl. She had never spoken to him in such a tone. But now, she didn't understand his good intentions at all. Little Shui, your brother is doing this for your own good. Becoming a secret agent is a very dangerous thing. You won't like that kind of life. Anina also persuaded. Xia Shui glared at Anina and suddenly stood up from the table. I'm not eating anymore. I'm going back to school. Little Shui, you. Anina stood up and wanted to persuade Xia Shui to stay, but Xia Shui left angrily. Charlotte said, forget it. Let her go. Children at this age are still in the rebellious stage. When she really grows up, she will understand. Now, she won't listen no matter what I say. Have you acquiesced to her becoming a secret agent? Charlotte shook his head. Without my permission, no one can turn her into a secret agent. If I had a sister, she would definitely give me a headache. Anina smiled bitterly. Let's stop eating. Let's go out and see her. Well, let's go. Charlotte got up and left the table. Xia Shui didn't leave. She stood next to Charlotte's Chevrolet Suburban off-road van and kicked the tire in a fit of pique. Her little mouth pouted and her eyes were filled with tears. She looked like a little girl who had been wronged. Anina said, You go and talk to her. I will wait for you. Charlotte walked over to Xia Shui, but he didn't say anything. He just stood beside Xia Shui. Xia Shui looked at Charlotte and didn't say anything. Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. Are you still angry with me? Look at you. You think you've grown up and become an adult, but you're really still a child. If I don't take care of you, who will? Xia Shui's lips moved. In the end, she couldn't hold it in and laughed out loud. Charlotte rolled his eyes at her. Get in the car. I will take you back to school. Brother. I'm sorry. Xia Shui lowered her head. Charlotte patted her head. Fool, why are you apologizing to your brother? You didn't do anything wrong. I don't object to you learning from Long Bing, but you can't take the job she gave you. Do you remember? I remember. Xia Shui smiled. Right, when she taught you these skills during this time, did she mention anything about me? Charlotte suddenly remembered something. Yes, we talked about you when we had nothing to do. Xia Shui said. She said that you are probably the smartest person in the world. I think she exaggerated it. You are actually a big fool in my heart. You little girl, how dare you say that about me? Charlotte waved his hand to hit Xia Shui, but Xia Shui had already escaped. Anina smiled and looked at Charlotte and Xia Shui, who were chasing around the Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, but she sighed in her heart. Why am I homesick? Chapter 277. Early the next morning, Charlotte received a call from Long Bing and drove to Innings 101. Long Bing was already waiting in front of the lobby of the old building. She was dressed in a black lady suit, and her figure was attractive. For some reason, this was the first time that Charlotte felt a little guilty when they met. Long Bing could not see through him, but how could he ever see through Long Bing? You're pretty fast. I thought I would have to wait for you for a while. This was considered Long Bing's greeting. It's indeed more convenient to have a car. Charlotte looked at her. By the way, why are you looking for me? Didn't I tell you the night before? After these 2 days of work, we can have a good chat. Long Bing turned and walked towards the elevator. Come with me. Charlotte followed her to the elevator and thought to himself, no matter what she or Sherborne try to test me with, I have to stay calm. As long as I don't say anything, they won't be able to find out anything. Even if they find out about the AE capsule and find out about my father's identity, as long as I don't break the law, they can't do anything to me. Moreover, I have made great contributions to this country. Long Bing checked her retina and entered the passcode. The elevator went underground. She looked at Charlotte with a sharp gaze, as if she wanted to see through Charlotte's body. Charlotte looked back at her. He was very calm, and there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. If there was someone in this world who could use their eyes to see through a person's heart, that person could only be Charlotte, not Long Bing. Anyone who used their eyes to pry into his secrets was also displaying their slight skill in front of an expert. After entering the underground headquarters of Innings 101, Charlotte thought that he would go to Sherborne's office, but Long Bing brought him to a circular room. There was nothing in the room. The walls were made of silver metal, and so was the ceiling. His and Long Bing's shadows appeared on the walls and ceilings. There were shadows here and there. At a glance, it was hard to tell how many of him and Long Bing were there. It was a dazzling sight. What is this place? Charlotte already had a bad feeling in his heart. Long Bing said, "Chat room." Charlotte looked at her speechlessly. "Don't joke around. It's not funny at all." Long Bing shrugged. "Well, wait here for a moment. I'll call Boss Sher over." "What brings Boss Sher here?" Charlotte probed. Long Bing did not answer him. She turned around and left the circular space. The moment she stepped out of the door, the curved metal door of the circular space closed with a whoosh. Charlotte was the only one left in the circular space. There was no sound, it was eerily quiet. Charlotte did not have claustrophobia, but he could not help but feel nervous in such an enclosed space. He subconsciously wanted to see through the curved metal door that had been closed. But when this idea flashed in his mind, he closed his eyes again and gave up. Based on this arrangement, it was obvious that Long Bing and Sherborne were testing him, or even investigating him. This space seemed to be a fully enclosed space made of metal. But this was Innings 101, and this space must be under full surveillance. If he used his ability, once it aroused the suspicion of Long Bing and Sherborne, there would definitely be a wave of experts coming to diagnose him. He could not let this happen. Long Bing's probing had always been there. It had started from the moment he met her. With the improvement of his abilities and the rapid advancement of his career, coupled with the recent fall of the Gu family dynasty, her suspicions and probing of him had obviously reached a considerable height. Therefore, not only could he not use any ability of his left eye here, he had to pretend. After making up his mind, Charlotte turned around and walked to the curved metal door. He reached out and pushed the door. Of course, he could not push it open, but he did not give up. He shouted at the curved metal door, "Hello? Long Bing, where are you? Hello? Open the door." In another room, Sherborne stared at a row of monitors. He crossed his arms and frowned. Long Bing and Tang Yuyan stood behind Sherborne. The two women also stared at the row of monitors and quietly observed Charlotte. On the screen, Charlotte kicked the curved metal door with his foot. His face was ugly as he muttered and cursed, "Old man Sher, you are an old fool. Why did you lock me up? Don't let me see you, or I will pull out your beard." Long Bing wanted to laugh, but she held it in. She looked like she was having a hard time holding it in. Tang Yuyan couldn't help but burst out laughing. Sherborne turned around and stared at Tang Yuyan. Tang Yuyan was not afraid of Sherborne. She smiled and said, "Godfather, why are you staring at me? Charlotte, that kid dared to scold you. He even wanted to pull out your beard. I really don't know where his courage comes from." Sherborne was too lazy to talk to Tang Yuyan. He turned his head and continued to observe Charlotte on the monitor. At this time, Charlotte muttered and cursed again, "Long Bing, you are a stinky woman. You deceived me to come here. What do you want? I taught you Wing Chun. I cooked so many delicious food for you." Hee. Tang Yuyan couldn't help but giggle. This guy is too funny. He certainly doesn't know you two are looking at him. I never thought that he would curse like a woman. It's so funny. Long Bing also stared at Tang Yuyan. Tang Yuyan spread her hands and said, "I'm telling the truth. In fact, I don't understand why you two are treating him like this. As far as I know, this guy has made great contributions to our country. He is not a bad person, let alone our enemy." Long Bing said, "When did I say that he is a bad person? When did I say that he is our enemy?" Then why are you treating him like this? Tang Yuyan was puzzled. Long Bing said, "He is the smartest person I have ever met. He has secrets that we can't see through. Don't you think it's strange? He built the world's most advanced intelligent machine tool with a pair of hands. He also modified the world's only 2 sniper rifles with a range of 3,200 meters for us. Also, last year he was a boy working on a construction site, but now he has 3 companies. Is this normal?" Tang Yuyan shook her head. Long Bing said, "I don't want to treat him like this, but we are 101 innings. We have the responsibility to investigate this matter and find out what is going on with him." "Mission, I understand." Tang Yuyan patted Long Bing on the shoulder and said, "Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Can the 2 of you shut your mouths? If you make any more noise, I'll send you out and face the wall." "Sure," Boren said. Long Bing and Tang Yuyan looked at each other and closed their mouths at the same time. Their eyes fell on the row of monitors again. In the circular space, Charlotte left the curved metal door. He walked around the circular metal wall and knocked on the wall from time to time. It seemed that he was looking for a hidden door. Sherborne reached out and pressed a switch on the control panel. In the circular space at 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, a metal plate suddenly opened. 4 scanners emerged from the metal wall at the same time, and 4 invisible scanning energy waves fell on Charlotte's body. In the circular space, Charlotte became nervous. He roared, "Enough! What do you want? Do you want to kill me? I want to go out. I want to see my lawyer." No one responded to him. The 4 scanners scanned his body from all directions. "He's actually not that brave," Tang Yuyan couldn't help but say. "He dared to sneak into Guding Mountain's Centennial Garden alone. Do you think he's a coward?" Sherborne also said. Long Bing sighed. "This time, he's really angry. If there's nothing wrong with him, I really don't know how to explain it to him." Behind the 3 of them, an expert in a white coat stared at the terminal display of the 4 scanners while writing and drawing on the report. In the circular space, Charlotte was making a lot of noise on the surface. He was mumbling and cursing. He looked angry, but his heart was very calm. "What can they get by scanning me with these machines? I don't even know how many times I've used X-ray vision on my body. If there was a problem, I would have known long ago. Why would I wait for you to scan me? Fine, if you don't do this, you won't feel at ease. This time, I'll go along with your wishes and let you feel at ease," Charlotte thought to himself. He was not afraid of any kind of equipment scanning his body. The reason was very simple. His abilities were all in his left eye. His brain might have also been affected to a certain extent, but in this world, what kind of machine could scan his magical abilities? It really existed, but it couldn't be seen. If he wanted to solve this mystery, he could only go to the AE Research Center in the United States. He might go there in this life, but definitely not now. A few minutes later, in another room, an expert in a white coat of 101 innings walked to Sherborne's side with a report. "Mr. Sher, the results are out." Sherborne said anxiously, "Hurry up and say it." The expert said, "His bones, organs, and brain are normal. In addition, according to the blood and skin tissue test results provided by Chief Long, his blood and cell tissue are also normal. So, according to these, my conclusion is that he is a normal person." "Are you sure?" For some reason, Sherborne was a little reluctant to this result. The expert said, "I'm sure. Our machines are also the most advanced in the world. They won't lie." Sherborne sighed. "Okay, I got it. You can leave now." The expert left. Hee. Tang Yuyan pursed her lips and smiled. "I guessed this would be the result. You must have watched too many Hollywood sci-fi movies. There is no such thing as Superman in this world." "Mission?" Sherborne glared at Tang Yuyan. "This is our mission." Long Bing suddenly clutched her stomach. "Ouch, my stomach suddenly hurts. I need to go to the bathroom. Yu Yen, go and release Charlotte. She turned and ran before she finished speaking. Hey! Hey! Tang Yuyen was dumbfounded. Sure Boren coughed. What are you still doing? Go quickly. Why me? Tang Yuyen looked very depressed. At this time, whoever released Charlotte would be the one to bear the anger of Charlotte. She did not start this matter. Why should she? Sure Boren put on a straight face. If it's not you, then it's me? Also, don't mention me. If he asks me, just tell him that I went to Russia yesterday. Tang Yuyen was speechless. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.